Sleep well in your beds, because if this thing comes true, there ain't gonna be any more.
Hello there, my friends, and welcome to episode 42 of Tales from the Dark Side. My friends, hello. Yes, General Zod. Like Shannon. Interesting things to talk about this evening. Before we continue, though, however, I'm reading some of the comments, guys. That's awesome. For everybody who's here, no introductions are needed, but we're going to do them anyway. I've got brother Cousins. My man, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on with you? Love it. Beautiful panel, Saturday Night Live. And I'm here with some veteran collectors. It is going to be great. Let's do it.
Absolutely, sir. Mario, where you at over there? We're all backwards over here.
Hey, I'm way over here, bro. What's up, man?
You're way over there. I'm like,
hey, what's up, bro?
What is up?
Yo, hey, Jay, get out the way. Get out the way, Jay. Duck out. No, what's up, man? God, dude, doing good, bro. Just had a freaking awesome Saturday, man. Did a stream on Friday earlier with this Chrome Clone Trooper. Got that out the way. That was nice. After that, went to go see Rogue One with my man Kevin Williams in the chat. Hung out over there for a little while. Did a little Disney thing, get some churros, hung out for a little bit. Came home, unboxed this big bad boy right here, Iron Studios Darth Vader, man, and yeah, that was fun. And now, now we're here to end the night with this nice ass stream, man. So I'm doing good, bro. Doing good.
Good, man. How without getting too into it, obviously we've seen it, but how was seeing Rogue One again in the theater?
To be honest, it was like watching it again for the first time. That there's something about the theater experience, bro. I mean, I've seen it countless times digitally over here at home, but the theater experience just can't be beat, man. Just being in the same room with like-minded, fans and everything, man. We're all just soaking it all up. It was fun, dude.
Hell yeah, I know. I want to see it again, dude. I think that'd be really awesome. But we'll scroll around. We're gonna go clockwise on that one. Desi, my man, what is it? It's been a minute.
I know, it's been a while, but man, I'm honored to be here amongst this great panel. I can't wait to start talking. I love the subject. Well, can't say I love it, but I'm interested in talking about it. So glad to be here. It's a Saturday night. Let's enjoy.
Hell yes. Well, we're gonna try to.
Yeah. Well,
we're gonna try to. No, we'll have fun. We'll have fun because we got 𝗕𝗘𝗖𝗢𝗠𝗘
I'm
down
here.
here.
Hello,
What is up, man?
Hello. I'm my shields are really strong against films coming back to the theaters so soon. I know Spider-Man No Way Home is returning back to theaters. I had a couple people reach out. I'm like, no, I'm giving Spider-Man enough of my money. I don't need to go revisit it again in theaters for what, $10-15 out here in Popnik. No, they have enough of my money. In fact, they will be obtaining.
They will be taking more than enough from you, right?
Yeah. So no. And I thought about Rogue One too. I'm like, no, they're. I'm kind of like in the Matrix. All those tubes piped into my wall, like they are sucking enough of me. I can't give them any more. I gotta say no at one point.
No, that's fair. That is fair. Well, Rogue One was what, 2016?
Yep.
Yeah. Did they add anything, or is it just they?
Well, they did add some Andor stuff at the very beginning. Just kind of like a sneak peek. It looks good, man. It looks good. I can't wait to watch it.
Sent the Blu-ray to the theater and like, here, pop it into your digital.
pretty much, man. It was the same movie. They didn't update anything, but still hella fun, man.
Yeah, well, it was like kind of like when they did Star Wars. Remember? Well,
of course, that was special edition.
Yeah, that was actually not really that good.
That was. It'd been forever up until that point. Plus, the films were cleaned up; they were scrubbed, digital effects added on. So it felt new.
It was still newish.
Yeah.
Wasn't a fan. To tell you the honest truth, like when they first came out like that, you're like, oh, what are they doing? What's special edition? What's happening here?
And then we all found out.
Yeah, I left the theater disappointed.
And for those special, I completely drank the Kool-Aid for those special editions. I bought all the special edition merchandise, all the figures that were associated with it. Yeah, they made a killing on those special editions back in the 90s. Yeah,
Talk about like triple dipping.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, they did. They did. Well, before we get into everything this evening, let me go ahead and just address the chat here. May not be able to bring everybody up, but I'm going to scroll through here and see. I know we do have Sean Smith in the house. What is going on, dude? I got a little bit of an echo coming from somewhere.
Yep, I hear it.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably Desi.
Is it me? Hold
Well,
on.
you did something and now I don't hear it.
We just saw you move, bro, and then it went away.
1 2 1
No,
2.
I checked my speaker, but it's off.
It's not me, is it?
No, I don't think
we're
so.
good now.
I think it's good now. I think we're good now. I think we're good now. But everybody up in the house, man. Chat's flying by, man. But Blackbird Tech, you know who else we got up in here? Moose Dream in the house. What's going on? AJ as well. CT603. Here we go. Hot Toys Nightmare. What is going on as well, my friend? Mandalorian Huntress. Her name has returned, my dear. Good evening, everyone. Especially me. So thank you so much, as always. 808 Michigan Jedi in the house. Alvin J. What is up? Insane One. Andrew James. Did anyone catch that magazine tease of Reva? Yeah.
Yes.
I think we all did. I think we all did.
No, I
Yep.
didn't.
No,
actually.
Mario, you didn't? All right. Well,
no, what happened?
well, she was just teasing the magazine, right? Like more of a full frontal shot. With Grand Inquisitor and I think Vader. Was it Vader in that picture? I don't remember.
Which magazine?
I think it was a Japanese magazine.
Okay.
I think so because they're doing that event, you know, August or September 3rd.
Yeah, they're doing that Star Wars event out there. Yeah.
Yeah. So, which we'll talk, I guess, briefly on that. But Absolute Irwin as well. What is up, my dude? Anybody who I'm missing, I'm sorry, the chat's just flying. Collector number 1, Dokinator in the house, my dude as well. Totally Blurred Dad Life, Pedro. Pretty sure I saw Ren's Talentino in here as well.
Yep, easier.
All you ladies and gentlemen tonight, man. The chat's just kind of going. Feezy, what's going on? FBJ, Absolute Irwin. If I miss anybody, my apologies. Everybody here, Funky Cold Santa, Christian Detours Collection, Pablo, everybody. What is going on, man? Appreciate everybody tuning in this evening. Yeah, so briefly, I guess we could say that. Yeah, so essentially what happened in P-Rock, what is going on as well? Eric, I see some more people pouring in. Thank you guys for coming in this evening. They did show her. I didn't save the picture, but it's like a full front shot, man. And I don't know, they're killing it with these. It's the irony, right? The every Obi-Wan figure looks awesome except Obi-Wan. So
Right.
you know, yeah, I'm not a fan of her personally, but that shit was dead on. I mean, those who saw it, it's like
It was
dead on, just like Grand Inquisitor.
Yep.
Yeah. So pretty crazy, man. So pretty crazy. Again, I didn't have any photos up. We didn't really have anything to bring up physically for everybody. It's more of a discussion this evening with kind of, you know, what's been going on. Does it affect you? You know, as we know, as the title suggests, you know, veteran collectors, as it were, meaning really long time in the game. And for those of you who may or may not know, figured we could briefly kind of explain a little bit, like the collecting game, as it were, as individuals. So I would just start with Brother Cousins to just briefly, how long you been in the game, this and that, your experience thus far.
I mean, I started collecting and I started with Toy Biz back in 91. I was about 10 years old. I started with them. Then I moved on to McFarlane back when I'm in my teens. We're talking like 95 to about 95 to early 2000s. And now, I mean, I think I collected every line McFarlane ever did. All the Spawn stuff, all the movie monsters, movie maniacs, you name it, I had it. I had every line. Then that kind of fizzled out and, you know, started making a little bit of big boy money. And I moved up to Hot Toys, to six scale. And that was in 2008 or 2000. It was 2000, early 2009. First figure was the bank robber Joker. I've said that a couple, you know, I've always said that on menu streams. Started with that one. Then I went to the what was it? The Mark III, the original Mark III Iron Man. That was my first one. That was my second one, and then my third one was the Terminator, the Guns and the T-800 with the Guns and Roses. Those were my first.
Oh, just the base, not the DX.
Not the DX, just the base.
Right.
Yeah, that was those were there. And I think after that, then was the fourth one was probably Michael Jackson Thriller. So those were like real eclectic. Those were like my first 4 Hot Toys. And and that was 2009. And been rocking and rolling ever since. So once I went 1/6 scale, I was, it was no turning back when I opened it up. I remember I was there with one of my best friends. And when we got the bank robber Joker in the mail, we opened it up, we looked at it, and he was like, damn, there's no turning back. And it wasn't. I was done with McFarlane. I sold a lot of my McFarlane stuff. A couple collections I collect. I still kept like Classic Spawn Series 17. I collect that. I kept that one. Kept some Movie Maniac stuff. But most of it, I either gave it away or because I had so much. I just started giving. I didn't feel like even selling it on eBay. I did lots, but they wouldn't sell that much. I just was giving stuff away just to clear the deck out because once I went Hot Toys, it's been on and popping ever since. So that was that's my story. I've been doing it since 2009, buying flip figures, selling figures, flipping some of them, keeping ones. I had a lot. If I kept everything that I had, I probably would have no room in my house for anything. So I had to buy. I think I remember the first figure I sold was the Bruce Lee Enter the Dragon by Hot Toys, the DX. And I sold them. And I was doing a film project at the time, and I needed some money, so I was like, let me go ahead and sell that. So I sold that one, and I remember at that time, I think I didn't double my money. I'm not going to say that, but I know I made more off of it than what I paid for it. So I was like, oh, okay, there can be a little something here with this. I've been doing that every since. Not so much these days, though.
Right. Things have kind of slowed down a little.
Oh yeah. That's my story.
Well, it's been a road, man. It's been a long journey. As I'm sure all of us have. So we'll go through everybody here, guys. If you guys didn't know already, everybody here. And if you like everybody, hit that like and subscribe button to everybody here on the chat on the panel tonight. Mario though, El Professor, you've been in it for a hot minute. Almost. I can't do the Professor. I just don't have it in me. I got that European.
It's all good
side in there. Yeah.
Yeah. No, bro. I mean, just like I think most of us here, man. A lot of us had toys as we were kids and stuff like that. But I didn't really get into collecting like in my adult life until I think when the Star Wars prequels were about to drop. So somewhere back in I think late '98 is when I caught that collecting bug. Remembering, oh man, I remember all the shit I used to have when I was a kid. So I got in deep with the Power of the Force figures, man. Then stopped after a while because it got to be too much. Moved on to other things, man. Moved on to reissue Transformers that were coming out, Macross stuff. I was really getting into that really, pretty hard. Chilled on that for a little bit, and then Black Series came out. I got deep into that, went all in. Got into Hot Toys actually my first 6 scale was actually the Sideshow Vader Deluxe. When that first went out for pre-order, I think that was back in 2013. When I saw it, so I went ahead and just picked that up, and then after that, went ahead and pre-ordered my first Hot Toys, which was the Batman Armory set with the Bruce Wayne and Alfred. That was my very first one back in December of 2013, man. And then I got tired of waiting, so I went ahead and picked up Thor from the Dark World in 2014, and then after that, it just started.
That snowball effect that we
a little bit, yeah. Because it was all that was at the time was just basically Marvel and DC. I saw my Adam West Batman. I was like, oh hell yeah, I gotta pick up on that. Indiana Jones. When it hit the DX, picked up on that, and then some extra Marvel stuff. But when they announced the Star Wars license, I was like, oh boy, So
that's when the floodgate opens,
big time, man. So my original focus was just the original trilogy, and you see them all right here. those are all the ones that came out. So I went ahead and stuck to that, and then slowly but surely, I started dipping into everything else, all Star Wars, Rogue One, the prequels, as all that started to come out, the sequels, and then I got into the mentality, I'm just going to try to get everything that I can because I don't want to backtrack on stuff that I've already missed.
Right.
The Rogue One line, I didn't want to do that all over again. So while I'm able, while I'm, financially okay, I'm going to go ahead and see if I can do it, and so far it's been so good. Started collecting statues back in last year, around March, around that time. And that's not stopping either. That game's getting expensive too, man. So I just got 3 statues in last week. I got this Chrome Trooper that came in. I got charged for the Arena Boba Fett. I got 2 more Hot Toys coming in, I think on sometime next week. And I still also get Vintage Collection 375, man. I'm still deep in that. So I'm still in it, man. I'm in it like knee deep, bro.
Jeez, yeah, you're in everything.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy, man. These habits are kind of hard to, to detach from. But I have fun doing it though, man. It's great.
Yeah, it is great. It is great, but you're not just in that one lane, man. It's like you're in like
yeah.
Well, I mean, you're
yeah. It was bad before, man, but I've actually narrowed it down for the most part.
No, you didn't. You're trying to get back into Marvel. What are you gonna lie to 130 people?
I'm not lying, bro. You're not wrong. That's the thing. So
I'm not lying. You're not wrong.
You're not wrong, bro. That's what I said. That's what I said. You're not lying. You're not wrong.
I know. Yeah, I know. I'm just teasing. No, because it is right. Because then all of a sudden you're like, oh,
I caught that bug, man. I watched Infinity and Endgame again, and I just basically I got the itch. I got the nostalgia itch, man. Nostalgia's a mother, dude.
Well, the one who knows it better than any of us here is Denobi. He said it. He said it. You get rid of something, and then that itch comes back, or something new of that property comes back. And why don't you tell us a little about it then, Denobi? I know you've been collecting for a minute.
Nobody really wants to get punished by history, so it's it gets tricky trying to navigate the river that forks in multiple different directions. So, Mario, are you displaying your statues, or are you collecting them and throwing them in the corner of a room? Because I'm trying to break that habit of mine.
No, it's not a habit. It's just that I'm still I've been here for a while already, man, and still haven't pretty much settled in. When I get done with this thing,
you told me that last year, Mario. When are you going to get
hey, man, that was at the end of the year, right?
He also said those 𝗔𝗦𝗢𝗎 cases would be done in like March.
I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to intervene here. What's going on? Because I keep hearing a lot of that.
Taking my time. I'm just taking my time. I enjoying the experience with setting everything up. And I try to get to everything when I can. So
you can't experience it if they're piled up in the corner like Lego bricks over there.
You're not wrong, dude. Yeah, no, I still gotta get. I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to figure out if I want to go like the.
Don't make me force you to pan that camera to the right.
Is there stuff over there?
He's
done. He's done. No, we're all love here, guys.
Yeah. I still got to work on display, man. So it's a work in progress.
It takes time. Listen, Denobi's not one to talk. You got shit in boxes too.
I do, but the stuff that I have in boxes are in boxes for specific reasons, and you know that. Specifically why certain characters haven't entered into the world of the 𝗦𝗢𝗎 case yet. They're in there, under lock and key. One of them being a Star Trek character. So
hey, I get that. No, I get it. I get it. But
early in the year, I had characters. I went aggressively and I stopped pre-ordering early in the year, but I had old pre-orders that were just coming in, and I had just no love for them, and I just got rid of them. It wasn't even about the profit. It was just, you need to go. If I can break even, I'll call it a day. So I will say though that my pre-order list, my Google spreadsheet, I'm proud of it. I'm right under 41 Hot Toys pre-orders. Actually that includes big ticket items too, because I do have a few statues there. Like Mario, I do have a couple Prime 1 statues that I have on pre-order. I have like the Justice League Zack Snyder Superman, the black suit, Prime 1. Nice. I got that. I got Darkside, Justice League Zack Snyder pre-order.
Nice.
And I have another statue from Prime One. Oh, the Robert Pattinson joint venture with 𝗦𝗢𝗖𝗓𝗠𝗔 in Prime One. I have that on pre-order. So I do have that. So it's not that I don't like the Robert Pattinson Batman universe. I love it. I do.
Let me ask you. The last time Prime One and 𝗦𝗢𝗖𝗓𝗠 got together, man, with that Joker, there was a bit of a, little bit of drama with that piece. I know you know about it, and it sounds like you're okay to go back to that, man, with this Batman.
So let's recap the audience, because I tried to find the drama, and I sensed tap out excuses on that piece. I did. There's a lot of that, and you kind of you tend to smell that when you're visiting, channels. I go, is that a legitimate reason not to get it, or is that a tap out excuse? I didn't see that high of a concern on that Joker piece, as much as certain individuals were, trying to throw a lighter fluid to make it a little bit bigger than what it was. So, yeah. Plus, that Joker too was it the hair situation? What was it? It was something. I remember going down and I'm like, what are these cats talking about? What are they?
I think it was a sculpt in the paint app that some collectors weren't. It didn't live up to the prototype and to the photos that were initially solicited. So when it came out, what it was is just collectors just taking bad photos. My opinion, I didn't think it looked that bad.
That's what I thought, because I couldn't pinpoint. I've purchased Prime One before, and I'm familiar with how 𝗦𝗢𝗖𝗓𝗠 does their statues. As long as they can at least make it somewhat in one piece to my home, I'm usually fine with them. But that's the problem, though. You have to really, is this a legitimate concern, or is this a tap out excuse, right? Which I tend to pick up on. I felt like I sensed a lot of that with the Hot Toys cable figure. Deep down with the Hot Toys cable figure, it is a boring ass figure. I even told Anthony, I go, don't make me talk about it, because I'm going to fall asleep. There's nothing exciting.
We're not talking about cable tonight.
We're not talking about that, but I'm just using that.
It's a great figure.
Yeah,
right.
But the fact that, I'm using that as where people were just like kind of bashing it, and I'm like, is that legitimate, or are you just trying to convince yourself, because we're staring down the barrel of 150 plus pre-orders between Hot Toys, Sideshow, Mondo Tees, and that circus tent in arts, right? So you have all of these choices you have to navigate, and you have to kind of move your pieces around the board strategically. I've said this to anybody who's interested. I canceled my cable pre-order back in May, and I never looked back. I'm like, bye. When that pre-order came out, the film was already dated, and people were already falling in love with Star Wars and all sorts of other shenanigans and Spider-Verse and all this stuff. So it was just a little bit too late. The excitement may be rejuvenated back again with the next Deadpool film, but for now, it's dormant. That's how IPs work. It's the tent pole. You reach to the top of the tent, and then you scroll to the bottom of the tent, right? So like right now, Ghostbusters is dormant. Ghostbusters is a dormant IP right now. It'll pop up next year.
Denobi, real quick, can I ask you, why'd you not tap out, but why'd you cancel it in May? You just were bored with the piece? Or?
It was just boring. It was like a big yawn. If that figure would have been delivered within the allotted time, the 1 year, I most likely would have kept it. It was through Alter Ego I had it. And so if it arrived, I would have been like, yeah, and I would have kept it. But it was just too long. The film came out in 2018. Yeah. I was just already phasing out of Deadpool, and I was already moving my chess pieces to strategic points. So I lost no sleep on canceling that figure. So it came out, and I'm like, all right, cool. Well, just don't take the shirt off. Pat him up really well and set it and forget it. Put him next to Deadpool on a swinger's pole or whatever, and then you'll be fine, right? Have him, have Cable with some Feist and chicks or whatever, get some, and that's it. I mean, that's part of that world. So for now, it's I don't care, but I have been known to be swayed by a good deal. I've made it publicly known that, why the hell did they make Fat Thor? Why was a Fat Thor made? I'm like, no one's going to buy it. And no one did. And it sat there forever until Sideshow dropped a little hefty little coupon, $75, right, for those 2 days. I picked them up and I love them now. Ooh, I got me a good ass deal. Tons of accessories. I didn't even look at the accessories. That thing is loaded with accessories. Now I enjoy it. Ooh, you look at things differently through goggles of value and savings. So,
well, and collecting for as long as we all have been, it's like that becomes a staple, I think, for all of us or anybody who's been collecting for a long time, that it's like when you amass such a large collection, it's like any kind of deals that you can get really help. You know what I mean? They offset a lot of the expenses, like literally, of like what we do, because we're not just buying one figure, right? Like per year or something, right? It's like we've constant. I'm sure all of us have money in different avenues right now that all pertain to collecting in some capacity. Whether it's figures, whether it's display cases, whether it's lighting, whether it's crafting stuff, like Desi, for example. I mean, because you've been doing your crafting for a while, but you've also been collecting for. I mean, you took a little bit of a break, but you've been in for a while, right?
I mean, collecting in general, I don't remember a time where I wasn't collecting like toys. Period. Even since I was a kid. Then you move kind of like Jay. From there to McFarlane. McFarlane was the big thing. That's what let me. I admired him as a kid, right? The person. So he, of course, like many people, like I started drawing. That's how I decided I wanted to go into art school. I wanted to work in the toy industry. But anyways, moving on from there, after McFarlane, I collected like small scale statues. I forgot what they're called now, but like Marvel Select, like the smaller ones you would find in the comic book stores. And then from there, like in 2007 is when I bought my first hot toy. It was a Chopper Predator from AVP. And then I got the Alien Dog from Alien 3. And then it started there. I started the next year in 2008. They started releasing the Iron Man and the Dark Knight figures. So I started there, and I had a gap between 2013, I want to say, and 2018, where I wasn't collecting hot toys because I moved on to statues, and I was doing a lot of Warhammer figures. But I've always been collecting. Like, there's never been a gap where I'm not collecting anything, right? Like, I've always been collecting.
Right, like you may have just taken a break on this particular thing, but
right.
But you know what? I'm grabbing all this stuff over here right now, or something along those lines.
Exactly. So hot toys, it's been, I say I started in 2007. There was that small gap in between, right when Star Wars came out, right? That's why I don't have any of the OT Star Wars Hot Toys figures. And then I started collecting again when they introduced the prequel figures. That's why I have Darkside Anakin. So around 2018. And it's been mostly Star Wars since. Yeah. So Marvel figures here and there. I might pick up the 2-pack, the Superman, Snyder, Batman that's coming out. So I dabble, and other lines within Hot Toys as well, not just Star Wars.
Right. So I feel like it's safe to say that everybody here this evening, we've got a bit of experience under our belt in the hobby.
Yeah.
Anthony, can we hear your collecting journey?
Oh gosh, where do we start? Yeah, I mean, we absolutely can. Let me take a sip of this drink.
Buckle up, y'all.
It's a long ride. No, it won't be. It won't be. I've been collecting since I was a kid. I mean, that's really how it comes down to, right? At the end of the day, like when we were all kids, it was like, oh shit, there's toys. Cool, right? When you're like a kid or whatever, and then as you grew, now some people grow out of it. And I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, right? Because I think a lot of the collecting aspect of things, at least when I was younger, was because of the imagination or the escape or something that you identified with, right? Like, so maybe for some of us it was He-Man or Thundercats or G.I. Joe or Transformers or Voltron or Turtles or something, Ghostbusters, anything of that era, Star Wars, of course. You get into that. And then you just start. It's like Desi said, there was never really a point in time where I never really had anything, right? Of course, back in those days, you had your parents. So it's like, well, whatever you got is what you got. You know what I mean? Some of us might have gotten GI Joes, and some of us might have gotten dollar store action heroes. You know what I mean? It just depends on whatever. You didn't have a choice, you know, unless you know begged your parents or whatever. You know what I mean? You know, whatever the case was. But you know, going through that, there was those phases, right? You get a little bit older, at least in my sense, and I was like, well, I don't really need to be collecting all these toys that I had when I was a kid. Like once I kind of hit like, you know, teenage years, adolescent years, it turned into more guiding through comics. I was collecting comics. You know, that got me. Then, you know, as Desi mentioned, there were some of the older statues, the smaller scale ones, and then there was the Bowen statues from Marvel that would come out. This badass Dr. Doom statue. Oh, it was so sick. You know, stuff like that. So you may have gone away from the early day collecting of the let's just say just the toy store kind of collecting. But then something always pulls you back in. Whether, you know, as you get older, it may be a little bit bigger. It may be a statue. It really wasn't until, though, for Hot Toys, it was like, I want to say 2012, right? As because Captain America: First Avenger was 2011, and I think those figures came out in 2012.
Yep.
And you know, I was working, you know, pretty much at a comic book store forever, and we seldom carried that stuff. We had like Marvel Legends and stuff like that, some of the older ones, and you know, like I said, statues and things. But then seeing that for the first time, and it's funny, you know, looking back now, you know, and I've said this before in previous streams, that Captain America, that looked freaking awesome in 2012 and Red Skull. You know, you're like, holy shit! Like I'm used to like 3.75s or the Marvel Legends, or you know, and then you see something like that, and you're like, oh, okay, what is this? You know, and I know there's been 6 scale prior to that, but seeing stuff that was licensed, that was something that you were into at the time, you know, I was again heavily into comics, so it was really cool when the MCU started, because in my opinion, it was like all the Fox movies came out with X-Men, and I don't like any of them, and I've been a giant X-Men fan my whole life, and I never felt like we ever got a comic book movie that, in my opinion, was like accurately represented, if that makes sense. So when Iron Man came out, I was like, wow, that's pretty damn good. I was kind of shocked, you know. And the Hulk movie wasn't bad either with Edward Norton, but like, you know, and then I saw Cap, and I love World War II, and I loved Cap, so I was like, okay. And then you start seeing like this is going somewhere, right? Like the X-Men movies weren't going anywhere. They were their own standoff, weird fan fiction movies that had no continuity between the next ones. They tried to, but not so much, right? So when I saw Marvel doing this from the, you know, right at their inception of the MCU, it was like that really, really turned me onto it. I was like, damn, that's badass, because I've read comics my whole life, and it's working. Whatever they're doing right now is working. I don't feel like they are now so much these days, but that's a different story. That's what really got me driven into that. And then, you know, because of that, I'm kind of like out of Marvel for the most part now. But that's okay. You know, like we evolve over time. Our collections may change. Our opinions on things that we once loved may not be as strong as they were then. Things of that nature. Now, for me, it's more all my original trilogy, all the 80s nostalgia that we grew up with, or at least that I definitely grew up with. And then, you know, it's been a ride. As Jay knows, we would buy stuff, we would sell stuff, you know, things would evolve and change. And, you know, that's kind of like where we are now, I think, you know. And I know a lot of people don't necessarily sell figures, and that's okay, right? There's no right way to collect, in my opinion, right? We all do what works for us. Some of us may have boxes off camera, you know. Some of us may have it's not just you, Mario, don't shake your head. I'm not, I mean, look, I think I might have something unopened. The point is, you know, we all, whatever works for us at the time, whether it's our finances, whether it's our space, right? Whether we've changed our mind onto things. Do we have regrets? I don't know. You know, Denobi says, you know, he doesn't want to have, you know, history, you know,
I don't
bite him in the ass.
History. I've been punished by history multiple times, and I'm just trying to, I see that there's a lot of characters and figures I want. And so I can't buy them all at the same time. So it's just trying to strategically figure out which ones are going to sell out quicker, which ones are going to sit around for a little bit longer. And at the same time, also anticipate future releases too, as to not fall behind and get buried and so forth. So, because I think most of us already know that some of these figures, yeah, some of them may be discounted, but 2 years into the future, it could be a completely different situation.
Yep.
Sorry if you can hear the
That's
dog.
okay. Oh, I thought it was Mario.
No, I'm muted.
Yeah, I'm muted, bro.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure because I know sometimes you do too. Nah, it's all right.
Yeah.
That's life. Life has that. No, you're right. You know, and that's the thing. Like, so we've all been collecting for like ever, but when it comes to Hot Toys, it's more specific, right? Because with Hot Toys, there was a time where, you know, as Desi pointed out, like he missed it. When Star Wars started, you know, coming out from Hot Toys, it was like it was a new deal. I mean, yeah, it kind of was too with the earlier Alien and the Predators and stuff, you know, but some of them are, you know, the old MMSs are pretty bad, right?
Yeah.
When you look at the first Star Wars ones,
Yeah.
they still hold up, right? I mean, Han and Chewie, GX-07, well, you know, it's okay, but you know what I'm saying? Like, pretty much all the New Hope shit is like the first Star Wars stuff, and they still hold up.
Yeah.
I still don't feel like they're that old where you're like, oh, do we need, you know, updates yet? You know, so that's my point. So when that started coming out, it was a whole different world than what we're living in now. When we were there, it was like, okay, you can buy a figure because there wasn't 1,000 Hot Toys. There wasn't 1,000 Disney property Hot Toys, and that's where we're at now, this massive flood. So you would buy a Han Solo because there wasn't anything, right? Yep. You're like, well, fuck yeah, I got a Han Solo now. You know, I just got this Bespin Luke. Now we got a Han.
Yeah.
Now we got a Chewie. Oh, hell yeah. So then people started being like, well, shit, you know, you can get a couple of these because you saw that the value was going up once they sold out.
Yeah.
Because people didn't have an option to choose from multiple properties. So that was like a big deal. That was a big deal, and either a lot of people don't know about that, or they were around but they have forgotten. And the people that do know about that had that learned behavior over time. Like this is what works. I can buy a couple of these if I need to, you know, and flip them because they're going to sell out, and that can fund my next figure or figures, and then so on and so on and so on. Because for a while it was just it was Sideshow.
Yep.
Let's be real. It was Sideshow, or if you were lucky enough to have a local comic book store near you that carried Hot Toys and you happened upon their establishment and then found out what they were. You know what I mean? So for the most part, that's kind of how that shit was. Now, a lot of people still have this mentality, I think, whereas where we're at now with all these factors into play is that some people keep thinking, you know what, I'm going to buy this and I can flip this. But we know that that's no longer the case. Right. To suggest otherwise is just completely asinine. Right. Oh, but you know.
I think for the most part in the last several months, most I'm going to give a little bit of, I'm hoping that the veteran Hot Toy collectors stop buying duplicates by the first quarter of this year. I do know that some of the early year one collectors, probably just up until a few months ago, it's not since last year. It hasn't been like that. I said it by 2019, I was already starting to see the cracks on. I'm like, oh, you can't flip any of this stuff. It's just not when they were, especially when they kept extending the pre-orders, and pre-orders would go into wait list, and then they would go back into pre-order, and then they would do extended batches. I'm like, oh yeah, no, they printed. So like I told you, Anthony, I think it's, you know, everybody tends to point fingers. I still say collectors are partly to blame. So
yeah, no, I agree with that. I think there's a lot of factors going on, and that's really what was going to lead us into, you know, tonight's topic about that, is that, you know, where we are now, it's a lot of factors, right? As Denovi's pointing out, there's a lot of collectors, there's a lot of other influencers, there's the rising in the past year of multiple, and not that I condone all, but the rising of multiple resellers overseas, you know, because everybody's hungry for that dollar.
Yeah.
Right. But they forget or don't care. Well, I know that the resellers don't care, but the consumers, us collectors, we don't care about the legalities of it or the questionable practices of it, because we're all, as we mentioned earlier about, you know, like with Zenobi wanting to pinch, you know, coupons, is like money's tight. So between all of that and how the old mentality versus the new mentality is like, I almost feel like lost a bit as a collector now, because we had a system that kind of worked, right? A routine, if you will.
Yep.
And now that routine is all mixed up and thrown all over the fucking place in different areas. And you're like, okay, how do we proceed? And not only how do we proceed as veteran collectors, but how do we proceed as newer collectors coming into the game who may have only been collecting for a year, maybe 2 years, right? Maybe just today is the first time they bought your first hot toy, and you don't know what to expect or who to listen to or the deals. Right? Go ahead, Jay.
Well, I think the best thing to do is, and I say this, and it's going to sound, I don't know if it sounds cheesy, but you have to look at the direction of your collection. Look at that. Don't be so impulsive to buy something just to buy something. I know I have an impulsive problem. That's my thing. And as collectors, I mean, we all have our little bad habits with that. And I think now there's time to check those bad habits and to really focus on what you want, what's going to make sense to you. Because like you said, those days of, because I mean, I'll just tell you personally, like I would go, especially in the drought, especially like 2020 when we had that drought when nothing was coming out for like 6 months. I remember going to my comic book store and I would see something like, ooh, I never thought about getting this. Let me go ahead and get it, because I had that itch, that damn collector itch we all get every now and then. And I would get it. And for instance, this was Hellboy. And Hellboy, a beautiful figure, a remarkable figure, a really fun.
We're talking about the 2020, like 2019, 2021?
Yes.
The movie that wasn't that great, Hellboy?
Yeah, the movie that wasn't that great.
Okay.
Figure. Yeah, amazing. And like I said, it was a great figure. Got to review it. It was awesome. Had it for every bit of I think 6 months. And then I looked at it and I was like, well, you know, it's not it doesn't fit my collection. Let me sell it and move on. And and it was easy for me to, and I think I sold it and I pretty much got back what I paid for it from my local comic store. I mean, and that's with eBay shipping and all that, you know, and eBay seller fees, all that. I was able to still I didn't make any money over it, but I was still able to get it. Because I think at the time it was out of stock and then it was back in stock at Sideshow. It was a little weird, you know, how they would do that. So, you know, I had a real good reputation on eBay, so I was able to flip it, able to sell it, not flip it, but sell it and get my money back. Whereas today, if you try to do that, you're going to run into some problems. Right.
Again, right. And that's what I wanted, you know, as we were kind of going down this road together, is like trying to figure out like what the hell is like going on, because, you know, and I wasn't going to bring a lot up physically, but I will just briefly share this with you. I did a search of just recently, like as of today, like just some figures. Now, obviously some are expected higher than others, right? For the most part. But if you look at some of these things, like this Robin, for example, that, you know, I know Mario has, I know Jay has, I mean, these are sold. This ended at $305, dude, with 28 bids.
Yeah.
Like that was not the case. And granted, these are older figures. Some of these are older figures right here. So
I used to be a $500 figure.
Right.
Can you go back up? Can you go back up on that, Robin?
Yeah.
It says, okay. I thought I saw something that says has issues or something like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, you're right. And that's the point. And I know some of these are older figures, so I'm not trying to be biased, so I'm trying to be, you know, impartial. There's some of these that are old that are, you know, some are obviously expected, like the Batman Returns 2-pack, $850. That's pretty much where it's kind of been at for a while.
Yeah, that's not going away for.
That's like a real special kind of package, though, right? So, you know, but some of these, this Mark 43s, $250.
I mean, that's ridiculous, right
Star
there.
Lord
Yep.
Sideshow exclusive is 170. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the first
177.
Star-Lord. That's the first
Yeah,
Star-Lord.
it's
right?
oppressive,
Yeah.
isn't it? I've been down this road and I don't particularly enjoy it. That's one of the reasons I'm like, if I need to fundraise, I have other stuff I can sell. I would rather just hold on to some of this stuff.
Well, look at the
Agreed.
hits you're taking. I mean, and when we want to talk about
You know.
bullshit, guys, look at the first Hawkeye, $145,
Yeah.
bro. That thing was like
That's
$600.
I paid
Mhm.
$350 for that figure back when not Infinity War, but back when the second one came out.
Yeah.
The second
Mhm.
Avengers came out. At that time, it was a $700 figure. I paid $350 for that Hawkeye without a box. So yeah, I feel terrible.
And thought you had a great deal.
Yeah, and I just, guys, it's very easy to say, look, buy low, sell high, but that goes for everything. You know, like not the time to be selling hot toys now. I think we see
No.
that on our screen. But I look, if you're frustrated at the hobby, and I know nobody wants to hear this, especially since we're on a stream about 6 scale, but start dabbling. Like I was saying at the beginning, like maybe I always say stay focused, but now is the time to carefully take off those blinders, and it's like, oh, let me look at that McFarlane. I just bought my first McFarlane at, I don't know, since 2007, because I stopped buying McFarlane stuff because of the QC issues, the bad paint apps.
Yep.
Then they started coming out with Warhammer figures, the ones that are unpainted. So it's not like they can get paint apps wrong and I can use that to paint. But my point is there's so many things. I got the His Tank from HasLab. I haven't picked up a Hasbro anything in years. So and those things you can, especially with the His Tank, you can get your money back. So
I've always said it. Oh, any type of Kickstarter or HasLab, it's guaranteed a return. It's a lot better than Hot Toys
Well,
right now.
because
It's
there's
been
so
like that
much
before.
rarer pieces, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
and if you look here, Soul Nightmare, I was just going to bring this one up. That's funny. He's like, I bought that Winter Soldier. I was like, look at that, man. This Winter Soldier was
That's
like
a good deal.
$700, dude.
Yeah.
Bro.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of like, and that's all I wanted to do. I didn't, like I said, I didn't really want to bring up much on the screen, but I literally was just looking today. And the only reason I look at eBay is because it's one constant that we can look at and reference, right? Because the buy sell trade groups in Facebook groups and things like that, prices are even lower, you know? So my point being is if you're buying stuff now, current stuff, current Mandalorian line, Star Wars is not exempt from this shit either.
No.
It's not. So anything current in the past 2 years, I would say, and they could be sold out items of the past 2 years, but most of it's retail still, right? I see a lot of people selling out, you know, selling their figures off. And it's like, well, if you're hitting eBay, just for an example, it's like, okay, you just sold that figure for what, $167, let's say. Then there's the 14 or 15% eBay fee that they take, right? Then there's the shipping that you're putting in. Like what? What did you get? Like $110?
You
$120
have to
bucks?
sell it. Yeah, the math is you have to sell it. You have to get a 20% of what the amount is that you're looking for. So it's supposed to be 20%. So, so if you're looking at, if you're trying to bring home $300, then the figure really needs to sell for $350, right? So that you can cover all the fees and stuff like that. It's just that folks are buying, like, I think one Star Wars character that has just gone bargain bin is Moff Gideon. Holy shit, I've seen this on the buy sell groups too, and then on eBay. I'm like, what happened here? I thought everybody was excited for this character. Why is he? Are they just doing it for fundraising, or are they just no longer like the character? Him, and then there's another character too from Star Wars. But I mean, it's just, that's just an example. Like, these are brand new characters. Even Ahsoka, even the Clone Wars Toontown Ahsoka's taken a dip already on the secondary market. I'm like, what? You didn't see this coming six months ago? I don't. When you see a brand new Ahsoka on eBay for brand new for $210, and everybody bought her, you know, from TW. I'm like, it kind of makes you sick to the stomach. That's what it comes down to at the end of the day. It's you're not trying to impress anybody. You're, as a collector, you should just be curating your collection, managing your collection to the best and the healthiest. And that way you don't get left behind. And you can maximize your own personal collection's value. There's a lot of good stuff coming in. And boy, this storm is. I don't even want to call it a storm. It just feels like a hurricane now at this point. So
yeah, no, I agree. I do, and that's the thing. And so Toku Collector was supposed to join us this evening, but he's not feeling too good. So he was going to be here with us to round out the 6, but a lot of people aren't feeling good lately. So just us 5 guys. But no, you're right, and that's the thing. Like that's another factor that I don't think a lot of people talk about, or if they do get to talk about it, they get suppressed. Which is a good way to segue into joining the Facebook group 6 Scale Mafia, because everybody who is in the chat now who's in my group knows I don't run that stuff. We're not goose stepping here. Speak your opinion, speak it respectfully. It's an open forum, man, to discuss as collectors. And then with that said, it's that some people do try to voice opinions on things of this nature, that a lot of this reseller stuff is really actually screwing the market. Because it absolutely is. It happened to me. I know it happened to Mandalorian Huntress. Like, just perfect example. We both purchased Zombie Deadpool from Sideshow. I'm just picking one figure because it's anecdotal experience. This happened. Why? Because we like Deadpool and zombies are freaking cool. Got to get it, right? That's for us, whatever. So, but then a couple months later, shit's like $100, dude. Like, how do you think that makes you feel? Well, I mean, I'll tell you how it makes me feel. It makes me feel like shit. I'm like, damn, dude, I bought, now you can do this holier than thou thing all you want. Be like, well, I'm going to go through the honest, this is the official U.S. distributor. I'm 1,000% Sideshow has the best customer service in the whole game. So no doubt, something's wrong, whatever, they fix it, no problem. They'll refund you, whatever. Perfect. Right. But the point is it's still discouraging. Cause again, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. We don't just buy one figure, right? That's not a collector, right? That's the very opposite definition of a collector, right? You're dabbling. Maybe you buy one thing or something, you have it on your desk at your office, like a Darth Vader or some shit, and you're like, that's all you get, right? But we all have dozens and dozens, and it's not stopping, right? So you feel like, damn, dude, what the fuck? Like, I can get this for like half right now, and it's new. It's not used from a buy sell trade group or from eBay. It's things like that, and that's just one figure. I'm only saying that as just anecdotal experience, and I know you've all seen that. We've all played victim to it, and sure as shit, I think everybody on this panel, except maybe Desi, I don't want to put words in your mouth, have purchased overseas when there's shit like that. So it goes back to what Denobi says. Like, yeah, some of us, even us collectors, can be part of the problem. And it's like, but when I realized, like, I'm like, you know what, this is really screwing shit up, then I just stopped. I was like, nah, I don't want to fuck with it. One, I don't want to fuck with it because half the time I don't get what I ordered, or I get some kind of runaround or some bullshit and say, oh, well, we'll give you store credit, or we've waited too long, so them's the breaks. And it's like, I don't need that shit. Like, I'd rather just pay legit, like with Mario. Like, you're like, you know what? I have my system. I usually order from Sideshow or whatever. I have a routine. I don't trust the overseas stuff. And it's not to say that all resellers overseas are bad. There's some really good ones.
Mm-hmm.
There's some really good ones. Toys Buying Agent's great. 1/6 Kit, it's great. I know there's a couple others, but for the most part, you know what I'm saying? It's like you're getting flooded. The market is saturated.
And they are paying the price as well, too. So make no mistake. Even the Hong Kong resellers are suffering as well. So remember, they're in the business to sell. And if collectors are throttling their spending, they're also paying the price as well, too. So
it absolutely is. I just saw Tully. He just said real quick, I didn't mean to cut everybody off, but I don't want to miss chat. I'm sorry if I miss everybody because we're really deep into this, but he said, did you enjoy Zombie Deadpool? Would you recommend it? I did not get rid of my Zombie Deadpool, so I still very much enjoy him, and I very much recommend him if you are a fan of Deadpool and or zombies. It's cool shit. It's really cool. So in that respect, no, I agree with what you're saying, Denobi. And it's like, we are now in this overly saturated market, and I know a lot of people don't want to talk about it, and I get that. Some of our peers and friends in the community, it's not a comfortable thing to talk about. It's not comfortable to say, you know, oh, the market's crap right now. But I'm like, look at what's happening though at the same time, right? We can't ignore that. Most of us, you know, I'm saying in the chat even, you know, are in social media groups. We see these things on the daily, right? I'm saying as a collector, as well as my collection has evolved, I had realized I had so much shit that I was just like, I don't need everything. Whereas like what Mario was talking about earlier with the Star Wars, it's like, well, damn, now I'm getting Rogue One, now I'm getting prequels. And I love that you love that, right? You have like a vision there that you're trying to complete and very passionate about. And for a while I was too, until I realized, you know what, it's too many lanes for me. And I want to focus, like you were saying, everything that we want as collectors, right? Because nobody can define it. It's Jay, you mentioned it. It kind of rhymed. I forgot what you said, but with your collection,
the direction of your collection.
Yeah. And that's how you have to kind of look at it. And, you know, so with that, I've sold, gosh, I don't know. You guys know, man, I sold a lot of figures. I'm not going to lie. I tell everybody who follows me, everybody who knows, subscribes, friends of the community, it's not that they were bad figures at all. They're great figures, and they were great figures for me at the time. But I've decided to kind of rotate around. I'll always have original trilogy, right? Always. That's my jam. That's why I was like, you know, I don't look at these things as much as I look at my OT or my 80s stuff. That what connected to me the most. Now, with that said, me selling a lot of stuff, yeah, I did okay. I did okay on some because a lot of my older stuff was retail, right? Which held up kind of nicely, right? The Rogue Ones sold pretty well, right? Very few of my Marvel figures actually sold well, right? Very few. All that Avenger stuff, all that other stuff, it was like we just saw on eBay, bro. I sold like all those fucking Iron Mans and Spider-Mans and Avengers for like $150, $160.
Yikes.
Yeah. But at that point, it was like, the thing was to me, and I'm not trying to sound snooty in any way, it was the fact that I just wanted the shit out of my house. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just not that I had this like disdain for them. It's just that once I've made that decision that I was moving on from them, they were bagged and boarded and ready to get out. So it was just kind of like, yo, I just need the space. I don't need boxes and boxes like here with me. Let's get them out. You know what I'm saying? And that was a problem though. Now 5 years, if I made this decision 5 years ago, we would have made out better. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So if you guys are buying stuff, I guess my advice, my final thoughts on that, I'll get back to the panels. I don't want to, you know, just hog the mic here, is that if you're buying figures, really, like, I would say buy slow. Take your time. Really make sure that that's the figure that you want, because anything moving forward, and I'm not saying buy it to sell it. That's not the whole point here. You know, it's not like a straw man argument. Well, what about this? It's not that. It's that life happens, things happen. We've all said it. I've heard Denobi say it many times on his channel. Everybody, sometimes things happen and you may have to sell, or you may come up to this conclusion like, maybe I don't want this anymore. Well, that's what I'm saying. Really think about it long and hard. Yeah. Like, because if you're going to sell, you're going to take hits. Yeah. And then you're just wasting money. So that's my mic drop moment. I'm just going to move it around, man. Jay, I mean,
yeah,
like you keep nodding along here. You agree with that? I mean, it's a different game now.
Oh, 100%. You know, and that's what I'm saying. Make sure you buy something that you want. That's the biggest thing. And it's hard not to buy. And I get it. For some people, it's hard not to buy into the hype. You know, it's very hard to do that. But you gotta, and like, I remember when you hit me up and you were like, you know what? You were like, man, I think I'm out with the prequels. I think I'm selling my prequel stuff. And I was like, hold on, dude. Really? You was like, I'm selling my Rogue One. And I was like, what are you talking about? Are you okay? I got a little worried.
A lot of people got worried, dude.
I hope he's not sick or something. What the hell? I know he loves Star Wars. But then you broke it down. You said, I've been thinking about it. And I remember, I think we were on a stream. And I said something about Star Wars has so many different sections in Star Wars. And I saw the gears moving in your head like, yeah, Yeah, it's not just about OT anymore. You got OT, you have Mando, you have prequels, you have Clone Wars. I mean, the Clone Wars is enough to make a full collection. So, but when you said, hey, you know what? I want stuff from my childhood. I want Predators. I want Aliens. I want Terminator. I want all the things that mean a lot to me, that I know that this is stuff that it really means something to me. It's not like, not saying that the Star Wars, those avenues of Star Wars are flavors of the month to you.
What's up, PJ?
They just didn't mean as much to you as the stuff from the, stuff from the 80s. So, you went back going after things that you really wanted. And I think that was a very strong and very powerful move. And I think a lot of collectors should do that, especially in this climate now, because it's not going to be easy. If you buy something for the flavor of the month, like I said, making a whole thing of when I got the Hellboy, yeah, it was good for the moment, but I ended up selling it. And I do that a lot. And when you look at it, it's like you end up wasting a lot of money when you do that, because you're going to take a hit. You're definitely going to take, I don't care what it is, whether it be a statue, whether it be a hot toy, you're going to take a hit if you want it sold, especially in this climate. So,
well, and we see that a lot. Like, I know Mario, you're in some, I think we all are. I mean, minus maybe Tanobi, but like you still are privy to the information, is that we see that a lot, right? Like people buy a figure and within 2 weeks it's up for sale in a BST group.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Every single time.
That happens a lot. And look, the only thing I can say that I asked myself, and this might not work for you, but I asked myself, okay, I really want this figure now. But is this the type of figure that in 2 years from now, when the hype is down, is this the one that's not going to make the cut for me? In 2 years from now, I'm like, I really like that Snyderverse Batman back then, but now I think I could let it go. I won't miss it. Like usually I can predict what I'm going to be able to sell. And once I start thinking about it that way, it's easier for me to say, you know what, I'm not going to buy this figure in the first place. So I try to do that. But I know that might not be easy, for some people, but it's just, and I know others, there's a lot of people out there that say, and I think Best Card Kid just said it, like, hey, I don't care about the market. I just buy the figure,
Right.
Exactly.
Hey, go for it, man. Like, I understand, like some people like shop around, they try to get the best price. That's me. Right. But some people, it's like, look, man, I've got a pretty good job. I waste more money by spending 10 minutes of my time shopping around or trying to figure out this market stuff. I waste more money that way than if I just focused on my normal work and just hit, buy now from Sideshow, so it really just depends for everybody, but
no, you're right. It really does. And that's the thing. And that's why it's like, this is such a good conversation to have, and seeing everybody's comments in the chat is very, I don't want to say it's polarizing, but what it is that you have people like you're saying who, you know what, I'm doing okay. I'm doing great. I don't care. I got the money. I want it now. I'm going to order it right away. I'm fine with that. Right.
Yeah.
Totally cool. Totally respect that. If I was, doing great like that, I probably would, so I like how we have both this dichotomy here of like, but nobody's elitist, right? Everybody's just sharing their opinions on what works for them. And that at the end of the day is the most important, right? Because you're the one getting your figures, right? You're the one, responsible for your finances, your livelihood, whatever. It's just, it still feels a little disheartening where we look at what we're seeing now and everything's just like dropping. Pablo, real quick, I just want to shout out, man. Thanks, my brother. He says, oh man, that Terminator Police Shootout review is next level production. Thank you so much. Yeah, if you guys didn't see it, I did put out that Police Shootout Terminator retro review on the channel. You guys want to check that out? Appreciate it. Pretty dope. Thought it was pretty good. But yeah, but back to Mario on that, like, what I'm talking about. You see that happen. Does that discourage you too as a veteran collector, or even as just a collector? It doesn't bother you that they're cheap?
No. I mean, the thing is, the fact that things are cheap is kind of, I don't want to say it's an advantage right now. Well, it kind of is. I mean, in the sense that I'm taking advantage of this now because, I mean, like I mentioned before, I got bit by the nostalgia that is Infinity War and Endgame, and it's working out in my favor. Okay, so I went ahead and picked up. What's up, Tobar? What's up, Uncle Keith? I'm awake, bro. So yeah, I can go ahead and take full advantage of it, man. I mean, where I can find those sales, I'm gonna go ahead and do it. Bro, I just picked up Iron Patriot and Rescue for the price of Iron Patriot. 2 figures for the price of 1.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. It's crazy, man. I mean, and that was from, it wasn't towards T-dubs or anything like that. Those guys, I just don't want to do business with. But at the same time, I can't help but wonder, hey, am I contributing to the problem doing this with these devalues of figures? I mean, it sucks to kind of think like that, but at the same time, we also have to look out for our wallets. But I've also come to the realization, or to the idea of, I'm at the point to where I don't want to sell anything anymore. Not because of the current climate, it's just because I'm enjoying everything that I have. Everything I pick up, I want in the collection. I look at everything and I enjoy it. The thing is, space is definitely an issue, right? And
right.
I'll be the first one to tell you that, right now the display is all Star Wars, but I do want to reshuffle. Reshuffling, in my opinion, it does make things fresh, but it's a pain in the ass. It really is. But in the end, when I'm done with it, I've got the display that I want, for that season. And when I'm done with that, I can go back and just reshuffle again to whatever that I want to. If I want to go all Star Wars again, I totally can. But the thing is, I'm getting these figures that I want in the collection, right? So whatever's going on in the secondary market, how figures are dropping, it's not affecting me personally because I'm not looking to sell. What I'm looking to buy, though, it is, it helps for some of the figures that I do have.
It's definitely a buyer's market right now.
Definitely. Right. Absolutely. But, again, this also, even drives home the point to which, most of us preach is not to pre-order anymore. Just because, and not just because, some reseller is going to drop the value way low after it comes out, but it's just the fact that Sideshow themselves is reducing everything. Like during, if there's a summer sale, we'll see that. There's Spooktacular, we'll see that. We'll see, you could almost predict the time of when these sales are going to come along. So you might as well just wait for that. If a figure comes out at a certain time, you might as well just wait for the sale. What's the point of pre-ordering anymore? Like you mentioned, you got your Deadpool zombie and it dropped to $100. That's a shitty feeling, man. You just got this figure, all right. You think it's worth that price, but then when you see it selling elsewhere for $100, you're like, well, shit. Why did I even freaking pre-order it?
Right. Why did I do that? Right. And to your point, though, I will say that, we typically can predict these Sideshow sales, but now look at that, right? We're getting 10% off sales since May on Star Wars figures. We're getting 15% offs on Marvel figures.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's because here's the thing, and this is just my theory, is that as the U.S. official distributor, I don't think that Sideshow can undercut costs as low as, say, TW, right? Because they just do it. They don't give a shit, right? So I think this is within their margin that they're allowed to do, right? So they're like, well, how do I compete? How do we compete as a company? Because they're hurting right now. And I'm not saying that they're not also part of a problem. As Denobi pointed out, there's a lot of pieces to this puzzle, and everybody's got a little bit to blame, which creates this amalgam of chaos that we're in. So
and can I say, I'm sorry, can I say to those that are actually, you mentioned before, hey, we saw someone that just bought a figure that came out and then 2 weeks later they're selling them on the groups. Take them back to Sideshow or whoever you got them from. All right, don't be because you're going to be okay. If you did get them stateside, return it, take it back. You'd be taking less of a hit if you were to sell them if you were to sell them in the groups.
That's true.
Would Sideshow take it back?
Yeah, they'll take them back.
If it's within the return
within
window?
a certain return window, they'll take them back.
You'll lose your shipping.
40 days, actually.
Yeah, you'll have to pay for shipping back, I think, if there's nothing wrong with the figure. But we'll take it back.
But you'll lose even more in the groups.
Yeah.
You're lucky to break if you'll get half of it, probably. Especially if it's a new figure that just came out.
Oh yeah, 100%. You're gonna take a hit. In fact, I did that with my my Anakin and Step. Perfect point. I was just like, what happened was I got it. And you guys both know, I know at least Mario and Jay know because, we were chatting about it for a little while. I was like, I think I'm going to get the Step. Do I need the Step? And you were like, well, it's kind of a bitch. It's large. It's cool, but you got to find a place for it. Da, 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 da. And, but I took some deliberation upon this thing for a while. And then I said, you know what? Whatever. I'll just buy it. But when I bought that, what happened was that's where that kind of epiphany came from, where I was like, I'm just sticking with OT. That's my real love. I sold all my shit, and it's within the return window. So I was like, well, I'm just returned it, no problems.
Yeah,
no problems. You know what I'm saying? And I got my full money back. So it was
I love that Anakin step. I actually got to kind of tinker with it today. It's a lot of fun.
I saw those photos you took, man.
You like that?
No,
yeah,
it is.
Fact,
no, you're right.
In fact, the battle droid and the step are in the background right next to the Rancor. I got a great spot for it.
and I love that stuff. I do. Don't get me wrong. It's like the problem is, and it's not to be like, I guess it comes down to like what we all, again, what we like, right? And I love everything. Yeah. I think it's safe to say that we probably all love everything, or at the very least, we can appreciate it, right? And be like, wow, okay, that is pretty dope.
I got that free shipping no text, by the way. Just want to point that out.
I can look at things. I can live vicariously through you guys in the community on certain things, just as people can live vicariously through us in certain things. Like having all the OT and oh man, I really wish I had those or whatever. You know what I mean? But it's cool to see. So it's similar to that, right? I think it's similar to that. You don't need everything, but that's a good point though with what Mario's saying. If you guys are doing that, be aware that you do have, I think, like Jay was saying, like 30, 40, 50, 60 days.
Yeah. Whatever the return window is.
Yeah, and sometimes those return windows are extended, especially during the holidays.
Yep.
I don't think
I returned
out of buyer's remorse.
Oh.
No, I've never returned anything, but I know that they
return anything out of buyer's remorse. Maybe if it's legitimately broken, and I think the last thing that was broken was Falcon from the original Winter Soldier. His jetpack was malfunctioned, so I had to return that figure, and then they ended up just sending me a new. But for the most part, I've never. No,
I've actually returned for to upgrade. Like I received the Tarkin by itself. I'm like, you know what? They're not offering that Vader in a single pack. And I do love the upgrade, what they did with this. So I'm going to go ahead and return that, and I'm going to get the Tarkin Vader 2-pack. Yeah. I did that. Same thing with the Darth Maul DX, the Phantom Menace one. I'm like, you know what? I did get it, but I'm like, you know what? I really would like that speeder. So I'm going to go ahead and return that and upgrade for the speeder. It's been no problems. They just take them back.
Yeah, I've done that with, I returned my kind of out of buyer's remorse. I don't know if it was buyer's remorse because it made sense to me at the time. That was the Stan Lee from Thor Ragnarok, the Barber Stan Lee, because I looked at it, I was like, oh, I have pretty much all of the Ragnarok collection, including him. But after I looked at it, I was like, damn, this is a boring figure. I already have a Stan Lee, and I just wish this was a Valkyrie. I was like, so I called Sideshow and I told him, I said, look, I don't do this. I told him, I said, I feel uncomfortable doing this. And, if it's a way you can do it, if you can, you can. That's how, because I didn't even know I could do that at the time. I was like, I had it for a couple of weeks. I don't really, I'm not really digging it. And they said, oh, no, well, yeah, you can return it. Yeah, please. You have everything. I was like, yeah, I'm a veteran collector. I know what I'm doing.
That Stan Lee from the Barber is such a trashy cash grab figure. Why did they make that? I just never. Yeah. And every time I would buy something from Sideshow, they're like, "Hey, we can throw this in your cart for 30%." I'm like, "No, thank you."
I know that the little. It's like when you check out somewhere. Did you forget?
Right.
Some item. Oh, by the way, here's Barber Stan Lee.
How many Stan Lees did they do? How many cameo Hot Toy Stan Lees did they do? They did 3 of them, didn't they?
They got Barber. They've got the spacesuit one.
The spacesuit is the one I have, which I have one Stan Lee spacesuit, and then I moved on. I'm like, great, this fits my NASA section.
Yep. They have one more, don't they?
Yeah, and I think that's the only. Is that the only one that actually climbed in value? Is the spacesuit Stan Lee, or?
I think so.
The original one was the one that climbed.
The original one climbed.
Yeah. Okay.
See, I have my original Stan Lee. I just can't. I don't know. There's a part of me that.
That's the one to have, definitely.
It's a never say never situation, but out of everything that I got rid of, I kept my Stan Lee. He's my original Stan Lee. He's Stan Lee. He's what got me into a lot of it's my comic. It's my childhood. I remember watching him and having him talk to us and writing the letters in the comics for the fan club, and like I didn't just feel a little off-putting. I was like, I just don't think I can get rid of Stan.
Do you guys think?
Yeah, I never saw that. I'm sorry. I just want to really point out, I never saw that attraction with Stan Lee. It's kind of like I collect Disney. I don't want a 1/6 scale Walt Disney in my collection. I just don't. It's just one of those situations that I never saw it just never clicked for me. And I get it. People are like, oh, Stan Lee created the world. Well, I mean, if you really want to split hairs, and how much of that was really Stan Lee, and how much of that did he?
Sure, there was a lot. Like he started a lot, but he's still pioneer.
Stan Lee's kind of more, in my opinion, more of a lovable character, and I get where Anthony is coming from with Stan Lee, because this is Stan the Man Lee in the comic books and the cartoons.
Right, he was the face of Marvel in that era for me. I didn't have Jack Kirby writing letters to me and stuff like that, and Steve Ditko and so on, and then later on John Romita Jr. and Sr. and everybody else and Claremont and all these other people. I ended up falling in love with their writing and their illustrations, sure, but I always saw Stan was my point. Like I just seen him, he was everywhere. So it was like as a kid, that's who I identified with. He was the host, he was that face at the time, and as a kid, that's I don't know if those are idols or hero worships or things of that nature. It was like, oh, but I really love everything that I'm seeing, and Stan's the one presenting it to me. So it was more like but I get your point. Like I wouldn't need a Walt Disney figure. I don't need a George Lucas figure.
That's what I was about to ask. If they did George Lucas figures, would you guys consider that?
Yeah.
Okay.
For me, I don't know if I would.
Yeah, George Lucas in a
Personally, I don't know.
Stormtrooper Black Series. No, F that. I don't want that shit.
No, I'm talking legit George Lucas, man, with the flannel, the jeans, everything, the sneakers.
I probably get it. I probably would, because it's George. I would.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would probably buy just to throw him off a cliff for selling Star Wars. I mean,
so tomorrow Hot Toys does an announcement. It's George Lucas, just like that, to go with the Star Wars diorama or whatever collect. You just that's. I would maybe get it.
I would get it, because then you can have you can do something real cool with your collection. Like you can have him there, like he's directing. You can have the guys pull off. Like imagine having Stormtrooper Han and Luke, and having him setting it up with him, like talking to them like they're behind the scenes. You can have fun with that type of figure.
You can put him in the Emperor's chair.
You can have some fun with it, but I wouldn't be like. But I see Zenobie's point too, because I wouldn't be like, oh shit, I must get this.
Yeah.
What if it's an exclusive?
Yeah, I mean, and then if somebody ever says, well, Zenobie, so and so is going to make a 1/6 scale Walt Disney, well, then I would want the uncensored version of Walt Disney, the one that he always had a cigarette on his hand and a drink in the other, and he was anti. So that would be the Walt Disney I would want in my collection.
That was the Walt Disney back then, yeah.
Not the censored,
pure uncensored, yeah. But they'll never do that for a multitude of reasons, right? So it's like, but it is interesting to think of things like that from time to time. And I know it's just, for me, it was just Stan Lee was just so damn close to me, like in that respect, or at least I felt close to him. So it was like, I never felt close to George. I appreciate what he's done, right? Star Wars is the shit. But it wasn't that always around me in the childhood thing, like you said, and as people's mentioned in chat, I mean, he was even cameoed in the comics. Like he was just around. It was just like, oh, that's Stan Lee. Like, you know what I mean? It was synonymous with growing up and, as a child reading comics. It's just, that's what it was. So, that's why I want one. And it just felt a little odd for me to sell him. You know what I'm saying?
And he is the original one you have. That's a great figure. It really is.
Yeah, he's great.
The head sculpt is second to none. The clothing, I mean, I think with that figure alone, back when it was released, they actually stepped it up, like their likeness and the sculpting on that it's phenomenal, especially for that time. I think that figure released 2016. It's really good. It's a good work of art.
G Fan, yeah, they did the director, the unlicensed. But it's just, that's like, you might as well. Yeah, those are the days where Hot Toys were just, very dated. Very dated. Like I will not get that Ripley with Power Loader, for example. It's too old. It looks so bad.
It looks so bad. It's
even at the time.
Yeah, and people who are selling it, they'll even tell you in the description, so and so the joints are crazy glued, and a lot of that stuff is just naturally deteriorating. So,
it's bad. And guys, I do want to say that, like, with 160 some odd in here, man. Go ahead and hit that like button, guys. Really, man. We're on the road to 3K. If you guys aren't already subscribed, I think you are, though. I look at my analytics. I'm looking at about like 20% people not subscribed, man. But if you guys enjoy the content, please subscribe. I really appreciate it. We're going to hit to 3,000 shortly. I know it. I feel it in my bones. Jay right there as well. Subscribe to everybody here if you haven't already. And, you know, and just listen, it's I don't want collectors to leave. Period. This is not to discourage people. I think this is the reason I kind of wanted to have this summit, if you will, of veteran collectors, and
I want certain collectors to leave.
There may be certain ones, but my point is I just want people to be aware. You know, again, there's new people coming in every day. There is. And we all know, we talk to people all the time. I try to respond to everybody who messages me. Very cordial with everybody. I've got the Facebook group, you know, 6 Mafia. Come check that out. You know, that, you know, we talk and people look at things, and it's like, I don't want to misdirect people, right? Because I was a year one collector at some point, right? We all were, like, and it's easy to get confused. Who do I buy from? This or that, you know, like, what about this store? What about, is this a store? No, that's a reseller. What's a reseller? Oh, well, that's, you know, a lot of people don't know these things, and then they get into buying stuff, or maybe they get screwed over, or they have really bad experiences, and then they're discouraged. And I don't want anybody to ever feel discouraged from, you know, being part of a community and being part of a hobby that they enjoy, right? We're not collecting like, you know, like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of other shit to collect, but the point is that what we're collecting is things that we like, with, you know, movies or television shows, superheroes, people that have, you know, that have impacted us in some way, right? In some fashion. So, and I don't think so with, like I said, 165 in here watching. I know you guys know this is not to bash on collectors. It's to try to offer our old dog opinions and experience. And does that change and evolve? Probably. And we've got a lot of new collectors coming in to content creating too, that have a whole different perspective, right? Riley, I don't know if you're still in here. Riley Reviews and KG, you know, these are the young blood coming in. They have different, you know, ideas. They have ideas that maybe we haven't thought of. They have, they're more into maybe other properties that we weren't into. It's like, so it's cool to have all of these different facets of collecting, right? And different opinions, but I always want to make sure people are kind of going the right way, if there is such a thing as a right way. But to me, I think the right way is to save money.
Absolutely.
You know, don't buy into hype.
Yeah.
Right.
Let me ask you guys something.
Yeah.
When we all first started off, we were all once day one collectors, right? We were all rookies in a sense. Now, when we started, if there was something that was already out, you know, and sold out, a lot of these figures weren't really done in these large batches as they are today. Okay.
No.
We had to go back and, you know, we had to pay the iron price for these things, right?
Yeah.
So let me ask you, a lot of collectors these days, we see huge batches. It seems it seems like there's a figure for everybody that wants to come through for at least, even after a year and a half, maybe even 2 years after the figure's been released. So should have Hot Toys continue with the lower batches that they've done, or the steady batches that they've done, and just leave it at that? And I think that may have that probably would have we probably wouldn't have had this increase of the saturation, as it were.
Mario, you're insinuating that it was Hot Toys' own personal greed for creating large batches, and that's why we have the inventory we're at right now. Is that what you're implying?
In a sense, and just keep it the basic supply and demand. Keep that supply low as it was before.
Well, but that
supply and demand was thrown out of whack due to collectors' response to the IP in the beginning.
Right, but at the same time, because of that demand, yeah, Hot Toys, okay, let's give them what they want. But if they didn't, should they continue just to do, you know what, we hear you guys, but this is all we're making and that's it?
I don't think they
still
have
be having
that.
this conversation.
I don't think they have.
I don't think they do either.
Because of Disney. When we're talking Star Wars and we're talking Marvel,
Sure.
Yeah, I'll let you continue on that, but let me go ahead and address Cobra Collection really quick. Thank you, my friend, for the $2 super chat. He says, Mario, love the unboxing of Vader. Love the panel.
Thanks, man.
And thank you
Bro,
so
I loved
much.
I had fun putting that thing together, dude. That was a blast.
Yeah, I want to look at that here in a little bit. We'll take a peek. And again, with Mario, check his channel out as well, because you did just unbox that tonight.
I did. Yeah, right before the stream, man. Put this thing together. It was nice.
Yeah. And man, what? Awesome name, as always. The $5 super chat, thank you so much. He says, I'm new to collecting and really love this community. It's really dope. Thank you so much, my man, for that super chat. And that's true, right? There's people are new, man. So welcome to the community, you know, and we'll try our best to steer people in the right direction, you know, is because it's again, like what Jay said, we all started somewhere, you know, and to Mario's point, you know, back into that, it's like, I think it is Disney. Again, there's a lot of, you know, we pointed it out earlier. There's a lot of pieces here, you know, there's a lot of people at fault, but I think a lot of that, there is a Disney problem. I think there is, because, you know, and let me segue just briefly on this, because people were like, oh, what the hell is this? Arena Boba Fett. A lot of people didn't know it was from the comics, War of the Bounty Hunters. And that's okay. Because you're like, what the hell is this? Where'd this come from? This came out of nowhere. Wow, Howard Chan's really throwing shit at us. It's not Howard, bro. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about, because Hasbro has an Arena Fett. This is a Disney thing. You see what I'm saying? Just to understand that, it's not like they necessarily dictate what they're going to put out, right? It all comes, shit rolls downhill, right?
So I will agree with you on that, where Disney will then make it somewhat mandatory that this character needs to be marketed. But I would disagree with anybody that would suggest that Disney would then bully Hot Toys. Hey, Hot Toys, you need to make 10,000 units. No, that would not work like that. The amount of crap we got now was due to the collectors at the time. In fact, you look at it now, I mean, there's even collectors who aren't even collecting anymore, who were big into the community a year or a year and a half ago. Hasbro had their most profitable year in 2020. It's because nobody was working. Everybody was able to, even Amazon had one of their best years. Everybody was stuck at home. Most people weren't working. You were either watching videos or you were buying crap. And at the time, it really did not cost that much to enter the world of Hot Toys. The price of admission was what, $25? What, the 501st? Remember that whole hoopla? And then Toontown Ahsoka, it was a $25 admission. Look, I'm collecting 7 pre-orders. I'm now part of the family. No, until the invoices were then finally caught up, and then everybody just either tapped out or canceled or went back to where they came from, collecting Marvel Legends, McFarlane, or whatnot. So the market, the stuff that we're sitting on right now is due to what happened with pre-orders and the whole hype and the overprinting of the word grail, which inflated the word inflation. Grail was added on to everything. You know, the streams would start, you know, good evening, Anthony Grail. How was your day? Grail.
Well, I'm doing pretty good, my friend Grail.
Grail, Ahsoka, Grail.
No, I do.
Grail.
I do.
But
I need to interject just briefly for Justin McFly. Comment of the evening, maybe. For the love of collecting, I'm watching from the car, hotboxing. Look at this guy. That's a round of applause for that one.
Bro,
you see,
take a picture
people
when you
from
roll
all
down the
walks of
windows, man.
Right?
Yeah.
Then that's what's important. But I think Denobi, you're right in that respect, right? That 2020 was kind of like, again, as you mentioned, Amazon. It's like, you know what? So Hot Toys is just kind of like, fuck it, man, hit that printing press 24/7. Let's go.
Yeah. So Sideshow is not going to shoot themselves in the foot and submit a purchase order of 20,000 units, so they'll be stuck with it. They're obviously they're adapting. They're taking, you know, they're putting down the brakes while taking that sharp turn now, and so is Hot Toys. And we've seen the results of this by Hot Toys being aggressive towards the secondary market. it's everybody that's paying the price. Collectors are paying the price. The secondary market is paying the price. The resellers are paying the price. So it's going to take a little bit of time to heal. And there is evidence. If you look at, do your own charts and stuff, there is evidence that the market is slowly starting to heal. And as much as I hate the expensive pricing, I kind of welcome it. It's gonna segregate the population that isn't willing to commit, right? We got to get rid of those bad actors, right? But the bad actors that will pre-order dozens of characters, and then when the invoices show up, they cancel. So because
that's not really good. Yeah,
it's not good. It hurts everybody. And even my favorite retailer, Ultra Ego, starting to collect deposits now moving forward. That's them adapting to the new environment. That's just everybody right now. So as much as I hate the high prices, I can kind of foresee the high prices restoring balance to the force in the long run, fortunately.
Yeah.
Well, that is it.
I agree.
You agree? What about you, Jez? You think that's a thing that kind of weeds people out? Like it's it's squeezing people out of a market, if you will, right?
Yep.
Uh,
To gentrify, if you will, right? You squeeze people out of that market.
That's exactly, yeah. It's exactly what I'm suggesting.
I completely agree, and I've said this before. I'd rather pay. I know this is a lot, but I'd rather pay $385 for a figure, and when I receive that figure, it's worth $385, rather than pay $300 for a figure, and when I receive that figure, it's worth $250. I'd rather pay $385. That for the exact reason you guys were just saying. It weeds people out.
Me too.
Yeah. So and the whole thing, like, you know what? I've always been curious. Like, how many people did tap out? Because there's so much in stock. Was that all due to people? Like, I kind of put the blame on everything. Collectors, I put the blame on Sideshow.
Everybody.
Like,
even influencers at the time.
Yeah.
Not me though, because my videos have aged gracefully. But
it's rough. But yeah, I kind of I divide the blame up. It is what it is. I do think that Hot Toys, overproduce a bit, and no one wants to leave money on the table. I get it. Sideshow doesn't want to place an order, like you were saying, Denobi, for 20,000 pieces if they're not going to get that. But really, was it all because people tapped out? That these were all tap outs, like all this in stock? Like, I'm like, I don't know, a significant portion maybe, but I think a significant portion was also Sideshow just over ordering and
it was collectors who got itchy trigger fingers, and because most Americans, because of the situation of 2020, were not working, their existing pre-orders from the previous year, 2019, right? How many Thanoses did you need, right? In 2019, Joe Schmo thought he needed 3 Thanoses in his collection. Come 2020, Joe Schmo isn't working, and now it's the missus. So we're going to have to do some cutbacks on, on the almighty Thanos entering the collection, right? So it was just being sandbagged. It was being throttled. It was being sandbagged. So yes, it was a combination of people fall of 2020 thinking that they needed 6 501st clone troopers for some odd reason, realizing that when the invoices were sent the following year, they're like, maybe I'm not so hot on building a grand army for the Republic. How about just hiring a mercenary at this point? So it's quickly, right? When you at the time, the only thing it took was a $25 admission or whatever for the NRD, and then you realize like, oh, you mean I have to pay full price in this? You mean it wasn't just because remember there was a point in time where we all thought it was cute and fun collecting pre-orders. You remember that? Pepperidge Farm.
Oh, we still are if we're doing it. If you're you know what I'm saying. I mean, it's.
I remember being frustrated with collecting pre-orders when nothing was releasing.
Right. I think you still are, right? I mean,
yeah,
in a sense, right? It's tapered down a little. Yeah. Listen, here's the thing. And Jay and I talked about this. I think just privately one day, not that long ago, right? Like when a few months ago, we can all attest, and Evangeline, that's a cool That is a nice, he says, damn, we only hit 88 likes per hour. I guess this DeLorean is at minimum time traveling speed. Yeah, everybody hit that like. Let's get to at least 100 while we're live. I do appreciate it. That, what they could do is when they showed that coming soon list, right? We all saw the coming soon list with the, DX19, the Tumbler and Miles and Taskmaster and, Snowspeeder lookalike, all that. We all know that, right? That they don't do that very often. And I think if they, we were talking, if they did that like quarterly or something, like every 3 months or something, almost in waves, right? Because they, to their credit, they delivered. We got that list fairly quick, those 12 figures or those 12 releases. And not only did we get those at a within a reasonable time frame as suggested. Oh, there's a dog.
Little puppy.
Jay messing me up now. Showing me the dog.
He's good.
What up, dog?
He's good.
No, it's cute dog.
Yeah.
It's cute, man. But what I mean
We
is
gonna flex
that.
on dogs now. Hold up, no, just kidding.
Oh, where's that dog flex? I don't have any dogs. Is that if they do that and they do that more often, not only does that instill confidence in the collecting community, it also gives us things to talk about. We know what's coming.
Yeah.
Right? We know. We're like, oh, look, they showed a list of 12 things that we should be getting. What's next? I wonder. Not like just randomly, hey, is 𝗕𝗘𝗢𝗠𝗘 coming? Well, if she's not on the list, then no. You know what I mean? Or they do little surprise hits here and there. But I think that would be a good way for them to, maybe instill a little bit more confidence.
I've also changed, Anthony. I've also said moving forward from early summer, the new batch of pre-orders cannot be judged under the same lenses from the 2020 batches. It's a different that mentality of 2-year waits. I would not, moving forward, I would not assume any of that anymore. Those collectors aren't there anymore. The environment in collecting has changed. The retailers are adapting to the new environment. Collectors are adapting to the new environment. So be on high alert. I would say moving forward into the new year, 2023, I would assume, and I'm not suggesting anybody day one pre-order. I'm just saying stay on high alert if you have a watch list on certain characters. Yeah. I'm going to tell you right now, any Hot Toys piece that retails above 500 and above, keep an eye on it. 100%. Anything 500 and up. Most collectors right now are not going to let their $50 sit in someone's account for a year or so currently right now. So keep an eye out on that. That's speeders. What deluxe for Hot Toys? I think the Robert Pattinson Batman I think that one breaks 500, doesn't it?
Yeah,
I think so.
that's the one.
Yeah, keep an eye on those, even the figures, and then vehicles. We have some large scale vehicles coming inbound too, so I would assume some of us in the panel are going to be getting it, right, Mario? Right, Mario?
Huh?
You, the Mark II DeLorean, right? You are getting that, right, Mario? Back to the Future.
Yeah, you ordered it for me, right?
Yeah,
Whenever,
I'll sell you my resale.
No, bro, no. I mean, you
What a
just told
nice
me you were
guy.
gonna get it for
I'll
me,
give
man.
you a
So
friend's
that's.
discount. Don't
I was
worry
just
about
waiting
it.
on that, man. So whenever you ship it to me, bro, as a gift, I will definitely take it, man.
I'm seeing that New Hope trilogy there should
Thanks,
cover a
Zenobia.
bit. I mean, it'll be
What a
price.
swell guy, 𝗕𝗘𝗢𝗠𝗘 you are.
Right?
You hear that, everybody? No.
Let's talk about grails real quick. The definition of grails, because yes, everybody talks about grails, and I hate to do it, but good morning grails every Tuesday. I'm
gonna let you continue. I'm gonna let you continue this, but let me hit this super chat real quick from Cobra's collection. I do appreciate it, my friend, with the $2 super chat. He says the most hater of the Haterlorians is speaking facts.
All right.
Well,
Who's that, George?
I'm not sure, but I do appreciate it very much for the super chat. I don't know in reference to whom, but thank you. And I think we all are speaking facts. I mean, or at least we're trying to. Yeah. Right. Facts, not feelings.
Look, I've been Chicken Little in this for over a year now. If half of the audience would have paid attention to me, they'd be in a better spot, or they wouldn't have tapped out or closed their YouTube channel. So I can only do so much. Goodwill. I mean, I look. I'm in a great spot. I stopped pre-ordering. I've been scoring deals left and right. The only thing that I'm anxious to get are my �𝗔𝗩𝗡 cases so I can finally finish one of my last setups. But I've been doing good,
bro.
You know, what's that mean? Life is good. I make soup in the morning. And you know what that's right? I think it's Nacho Libre.
Yeah. Y'all should take a shot every time the word grail is said.
Can you imagine? Oh man.
No, dude, we'd be like
If
falling over the
you
floor.
used one of the live streams just from last year, this point in time, you wouldn't make it past 20 minutes. You know?
Oh gosh, no.
Very true.
Bro, I just did a grail unboxing before I came over here, man. So there you go.
But the thing is with it, you know, and historically, when you're talking about grails, they take nothing that comes out right out the break. It's like, oh, this is a grail. You may say it could be a future grail, and I think that was said a lot last year, you know, a couple years back as well. But grails take time, and usually the grails are figures that set around, and nobody wanted at the time. And then they just sold out. And then something came out. And then people were like, oh, wow, I want to go back and get this. And then it's not available no more. So I'm saying grails take time to become great. It's a thing about time. If you want to look at it like that, especially when we talk about grails from the financial aspect. So, you know, I don't know why, you know.
I'm going to say it on the streams. I think I said it on a couple. I think history is going to repeat itself. I think a lot of the stuff that collectors, when we started doing streams back in 2020, had missed out on, are probably going to be missing out on the exact same things again come next year.
Oh yeah, I agree.
It goes in waves.
I want to just interject for a minute because Miles Dyson, man, that is a profound statement right there. I choose my own grails.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very accurate statement, right? Because we talked about that before. All of us have, together, separately. We've all discussed this amongst each other, that certain things you don't know, right? Oh, that figure sat for a year. Now it's like freaking $700 or something silly, right? Well, is that why you want the figure, right? And I don't, you know, I just mean in general, like as a collector, do you chase that now that you realize, oh shit, this is a high value figure? But when it sat on the shelf for a year, I didn't give a shit about it. Right. So there are other factors, of course, that one may try to throw the word around and be like, you know what? I really have, you know, all of the Avengers except the Hulk. Right. Well, Hulk may be a bad example because he does still kind of fetch a high price.
He sure does. The Avengers Hulk does.
Yeah. So let's say you have Hulk. Let's say you're missing OG Hawkeye, which we just saw sell for like $140. You just don't have it, right? You have the whole 2012 Avengers lineup except Hawkeye. Well, to you, that may be your grail.
That's a grail. Yeah.
Right? You know, you're like, damn, I just need that to complete my set. Yeah. Now, on the flip side, if it was Hulk, you're like, damn, I got to spend like $600-700 to get this Hulk or whatever. Then some people may throw that word out as a grail because of its price, which isn't always the case, right? It was
just diluted last year. It lost all respect the way it was just being printed. So hopefully we can restore a little bit of balance to that as well too. Because I do like chasing grails. I do.
Well, that's part of a thrill, I think. And look, this comes back to what we were talking about earlier, the learned behavior stuff, right? Like when we were younger, and we would go to, you know, Toys R Us, KB toy stores, wherever whatever, right? Walmart, Target, whatever. And finding those hard to find pieces or trying to complete a set of something. I think that mentality carries over and naturally should, right? Because that's what you're used to as a collector. Now that we're in this game where things are way more expensive than a $5 figure. I know they're not even $5 now, but back in the day, you know what I mean? We're picking up action figures for like $5 all day. We're 100 times that price, you know, in certain cases. I mean, so that mentality is still there where we're like, yeah, well, I want to get that one as part of the set. I must have that. Oh, look at that rare one that they did. I got to get that. You know, it's just this, it's been in our brain for so long, right?
Well, where is that line drawn between a chase and a grail? Because I feel like a lot of figures that are discussed that consider grails, I just think they're chase. Like you just mentioned right now. I mean, how many times have we gone out to the store, right, and we couldn't find that one thing that's hard to find because everybody's after it? That's a grail, right? When there's something that's so rare and so valuable, you don't see it, but by the time it comes up, that's when you pick it up. That's a grail. In my opinion, everything else is pretty much just a chase. The Hawkeye you mentioned just to finish your collection, that's a personal chase.
Yeah.
The Hulk,
Yeah.
that's a personal chase.
A personal
What would you
chase.
say, Qui-Gon?
Yeah.
We talked
Yeah.
about this on my show the
It's
other
a bargain bin chase nonetheless, but sure.
Yeah, I've always I agree with it. The word grail kind of means different things to different people, and I've always said, look, I'm the old guy going by the old meaning of grail. Like Darkside Anakin, that's not a grail. I mean, I have him, but even if I didn't have him, it wouldn't be a grail. Yeah, it's $800. Sell a couple of hot toys, you got $800 for him. He's readily available. He's always on eBay. You can get him. A grail to me is something like, even if you have the money, no one is selling it. Like it is rare.
Yeah.
Like that's a grail.
Mhm.
Or like it's really, really expensive. It's the.
Are you
it's,
suggesting
you know,
we coin a different word for those rare artifacts? I'm listening.
I'm okay with grail like that, but
No,
grail to
grail-
me means
grail-
that.
But no,
Unfortunately, it's a little bit
Janov,
more
you just
than
said rare. Rare.
Rare,
What
yeah.
is rare though? That's the
A
thing.
rarity.
What would you
something
consider
to me
a rarity?
that is rare is like something you go to eBay right now, look for it, nobody's selling it. Go to Mercari, no one's selling it. It comes up once in a blue moon, almost like customs. Like I remember, I've always wanted a 6-scale Bram Stoker Dracula Gary Oldman. Right?
Ooh.
There's a custom of it, like I think Redman or
Yeah.
Every time that comes up, it's like $5,000, and it's rarely up. Like
Or
even when it
PGL.
comes up, it's like, man, 5,000. Like I could do it, but
No.
that's a hell of a commitment, right?
No.
Like that's why I haven't done it. That's a grail.
The whole
Bro, you're
community-
going like Super Saiyan Grail though, like over
Yeah.
9,000.
Especially like
Like,
on custom figures
CGL
where the
John
community is
Connor
currently
would be a
burnt.
grail for me.
yes,
Yeah.
that John Connor, that particular one.
Can't even find it. Can't even
No.
find it.
That was the
Yeah.
CGL one, right? I think
Yep. Yes, sir.
Yeah. because there was
So
the
it
Ace
just
Star
depends.
Ace one or something, or Ace Toys.
No.
That's why I think it's just different. Like even if you use the word rare, then like, well, how do you define rare? Like you guys asked. To me, it's just something you can't find, right? Like that to me, rare becomes a grail to me. You know, but I understand. Like I've got an outdated version of what the word grail means, so I get it. You know,
Well,
most
it's
people-
not that it's outdated. It's that it's been another factor of saturation. Not only is the market saturation, the word is being overly saturated. It's like,
Like
and I'm
the
not
term
getting,
scalper.
I'm not, yeah, like the term scalper, or even if we step out of the collecting world and we step into the real world for a minute, there's a lot of words being thrown around today that are completely diluting the original meanings.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And that I don't know if that reflection comes around into here as well. And people are like, yeah, it's just a grail, fucking grail. It's like, no, it's not. Just like I'm not, XYZ or whatever, right? It's not that. It's you have to come up with something other than, because us old schools, we'll be like, that's a grail, but then you're like, damn, I don't even want to say that word anymore. I almost feel shamed.
No, I don't even like
I'm
using it
shamed.
anymore. Yeah.
Jay, you
So
gotta
we need
redeem
to-
your show, bro.
Good morning,
Oh.
rarities. Just
Oh man, I don't know about all that. Well, I mean, but there needs to be another word.
Yeah.
Wait, can I ask a question? Quick, and this is for the whole panel. Qui-Gon Jinn, chase or grail?
Chase.
Chase,
I
right?
It's
I think it would
Chase,
have been a
It's
chase
man.
Yeah.
because it would complement, your DX16 or whatever, right? Your Darth Maul.
Yeah.
And that's really all it is, because we don't have a lot of Phantom Menace figures, right?
Yeah.
So you'd be like, ooh, well, Maul and Qui-Gon, they fight each other. That's an iconic scene of the Phantom Menace. Cool. In and of itself, right? Because we had DX16 forever, and then Qui-Gon came out, not that long ago, really, if you think about it,
Mm-mm.
2020, right? So,
Yeah.
In that sense, it's a chase.
Yeah.
I think if the other word that the word that we need to figure out that doesn't start with a G, those things are like, I would say, Tech Noir Terminator.
Grail.
Okay, if we're gonna use that G word, yeah, but that's what I'm saying, right? Because that's to Desi's point. It doesn't come up often, and when it does, it's pretty expensive.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Those are the things that we need to figure out.
Like that Predator you just bought, the Samurai Predator.
Samurai
You
Predator.
See that come up?
Yeah,
That's another
there you
one.
go.
Mhm.
I see it come up, but dude, I'm glad I got it when I did, bro.
Yeah.
I got a good deal on that shit, and I'm seeing it now at like $1,000, $900. It was already pretty expensive at the time, but I think after the success. See, that's the other thing that's interesting, and I don't blame anybody for that, but that's another point, is that after the success of Prey, all of a sudden everybody's a Predator fan.
Yeah.
And I'm not taking away that from that, because I want people to be engaged and happy with something. Maybe they never even watched Predator, dude. Right? There's people of this generation that didn't grow up with it, and then they see Prey and they're like, "Wow, that was pretty good. Oh, what the hell's Predators? Oh, those look really cool." And then they get into it. Now there's a new fan, right? A new fan's created every day in all facets, right? So, but what I mean by that is that does have an adverse effect on the market. As Jay's pointed out, you're trying to find a classic Predator. That thing was like $200-$250 not that long ago. Yeah. So there is a flip side to this. Now that Predator's up at like 400 because it's the supply and demand.
That's right.
Right now, people are like, "Well, shit, dude, Prey did pretty damn good. Everybody's wanting Predators. I'm not gonna sell it for $250. I'm gonna list that bitch for $4." And then it's like, ching, it sells, and then somebody sees it sells, and then they're like, "Well, I'm gonna sell mine for $4." You know what I'm saying? And that's
what I was saying before too. The whole buy low, sell high. Probably not the best time to sell now, but back in the beginning of the year, I decided, you know what, I'm going to part with my classic Pred figures, my classic Pred 1, my Dutch, Arnie, and my Billy. But now is not the right time, January. I'm going to put them on eBay like around April, May, because I know that new movie's coming out in August, and there's no Predator figures from Hot Toys.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of just read the game. So that's exactly what I did. I just put them up, buy it now in April. They sat for like a month, and then all of a sudden, they all sold at the end of May.
Can you imagine that though?
Yeah,
and that's recent.
Yeah, classic Predator
for a month.
400. Dutch like went for I think 500, 515.
Good business.
Like,
and Dutch isn't proportioned either, right? You know what I mean?
You
had him.
I love that figure. When that figure came out, I loved him so much, and I had him all this time, and he's been sitting there, and I was like, you know what, like. Hot Toys has moved on with the quality and just the attention to detail. I think it's time for me to move on. Just like you make a decision for any figure. But I had those figures for over 10 years, or maybe 10 years. So it's like, all right, time to move on. Now is a good time to sell. Like that new movie's coming out. No other Predators being released now. So there you go.
Yeah, I agree. I do want to note here. I just it's about that time my computer's starting to really bog down right this for some reason. But Blitz, right? What he says, just like the 501st Troopers overnight price increase. Yes and no, though, right? Because they did because of the whole FOMO thing, right?
Yeah.
FOMO's fucking real in anything, right? So, next day it's like in search of 501st Deluxe at a reasonable price. Well, you didn't want it then. And I'm not saying everybody, but what I'm saying is there were people that all of a sudden are like, now that I can't have it, I want it. Right. But the thing is yes, the 501st regular and deluxe did go up, but only for about 3-4 weeks. And then they dropped back down. Now I'm seeing those same exact figures retail or below in the BSTs. Right. I've seen people selling their 501st Deluxe for like $240 when they are $250 or were $250, when they were available. So it is to a point, though. You are right. I think that was a FOMO situation, though. Whereas I think now with for example, Prey, let's just say, Jesus, man, they make a Terminator movie that's actually good again. Bro, the Terminator shit's going to they're already pretty high up there. But that's the same point, right? It's going to go up even more. You're bringing new people into the fandom, or maybe restoring people's faith in the fandom, much how, Mandalorian kind of did with Star Wars. So it's just very interesting to note. Real quick, though, I do have a $10 super chat from S-Beam, my man. Thank you so much for that. He says, listening while painting another Jim Gordon head sculpt. Great discussion. Very good viewpoints from all. Awesome panel tonight. Well, thank you so much, S-Beam, my man. And that's awesome, dude, that you're doing that. I was watching you doing some of that earlier. You were streaming some of that. That was really cool, man. So I do appreciate that. But yeah, and that's just kind of how it rolls. And but I think those are the typical ebb and flows, though, of collecting, right? a new movie, a new show comes out of an older franchise that reinvigorates it, right? And then people's sparks go up. It happens even in the comic world, right? God forgive me, I forget the issue, the first appearance of Thanos, but I knew he was coming, right? So I picked up like 5 of those comics. I just forget what it is. It's some issue 60s. I just don't remember 67. I don't remember the first appearance of Thanos. But they're just sitting there at the comic store. Nothing. And I was like, it's building. The MCU's building to this. You know what I'm saying? I picked them up for like $30 each. Sold them for like $400 each.
Damn.
You see, that's what I'm saying, because if you know that, it's just how the world works sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Now, of course, we couldn't predict that Thanos was like pretty cool in the MCU, right? He could have been a turd, and people would have been like, well, that sucked. You know what I mean? And then, of course, there's no value. Just like Prey. If Prey was a dud, these Predators would still be like $250, $300, right? They're not going to hit that 400 tier range. So it just depends. But those are expected events. You may not know when they're coming, but it's part of collecting. The other stuff, not so much, right? We don't know why all of a sudden overnight one figure just went up to $700 for no rhyme or reason, right? I think Fet's awesome. I think the animated Fet is cool, is very cool. But for a while it was $300, and then literally overnight it was $700. It's just one example, and you're like, why? What happened?
It's like
what happened?
Everybody just woke up and was like, wait a minute, that's the first time we saw Fet. We need it, and then just
right. It's just so certain things don't make sense certain times, right? And we can argue, yeah, Fet's awesome, this and this and that, of course, but it wasn't like a show came out. Right. It wasn't Mando. It wasn't any of that. That's what I'm saying. There's certain things like that. And I think Arena Fet, if we're talking about Fets as well, is like another thing that Denobi brought up, is that, are you getting Arena Fet because it seems like it's so rare? Is that why you're grabbing it? You know what I'm saying? Like, do you like Fet? And you're like, yeah, you must have this. In some cases, people do want to chase things. But it was interesting to see how that happens in the community, where suddenly something comes out that I don't want to say gives the illusion of being rare, because as it is right now, it is rare, and it probably will stay rare. I don't think they're making any more of those, and that's that in and of itself is rare in Hot Toys. We don't see that very often.
Nope.
But then I feel like a vast wave of people are suddenly like, I'm getting that. I must have it. What is it from? You know what you know what I'm saying? Like, so, and that's fair. That's fair. But it's just those types of things to think about. Anyway, I'm rambling. My apologies, but you get my point. Ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, I think this was a pretty good discussion, though, man. I mean, do we have anything to add to this? Because we are getting about 2 hours here.
No,
Anybody?
I think we're good.
I think we covered everything. Good. Well, okay. So what's the future then? I guess let's final notes on that. So we threw all this. We data dumped everybody here tonight. Again, I appreciate everybody tuning in and subscribing to everybody, of course. But we kind of did a data dump on everybody about what's going on and like how we feel about everything. Moving forward, I guess I will just say, and I'll let everybody kind of have a brief moment here on that, is that I think moving forward, if you are, budgeting, I would say move slowly, right? Take your time with your purchases. I don't necessarily feel like you need to pre-order unless it's something very exclusive or a vehicle or something that you're just like, no, I'm not taking any chances on that one. But I don't think building a library of pre-orders is needed. I think that's the right word to say, because it's not foolish or anything. If that's what you do, that's what you do. But I just don't think that's needed. So I would just say moving forward, be a little more concerned before making your purchases and make sure that that's something that you want if you are somebody who is like that. There's a lot of people in the chat who are not like that, where they're like, I buy it, I don't sell it, I want it, that's a wrap, I'm good. But I know there's a lot of other people that may buy it and regret it, and then they try to sell it, and then they take the loss. Yep. And I don't want to see people throwing their money away, because that's what's happening. So anyway, I'll just move on to Brother Cousins, my man. Your final thoughts and what's going on with you.
Yeah, the game has changed. And I was one of those people that I would buy stuff in the heat of the moment, and I would flip it and get my money back and buy something else that was cooler. I did that. I also had, my stuff that I knew that I would never get rid of. Like, I would never get rid of my 2012 Avengers. I'll never get rid of my Terminators. Anything from the 80s, not getting rid of it. No sell. At all. so I would say to all collectors, buy what you love. We all have that one thing that we just love, that we just can never part with. If Star Wars is your thing, that's kind of crazy, because is it Star Wars OT? Is it the Clone Wars? Is it the prequels? You know, is it Rogue One? You know, find out what speaks to you. And it's different generations. Star Wars is generational. It's a generational thing now. You got a lot of people that say certain facets of Star Wars suck. You have other people that say, hey, this is the OT. So you just got to know where you're, pretty much know where your ass is at. That's the biggest thing I can say. Learn what you like and stick to it, and stick to your guns. When it comes to pre-orders, no, I do not think you need to pre-order everything. I mean, unless it's an exclusive. If it's an exclusive or a vehicle, yeah. And even then, there's ways around that too. But I mean, I would caution to, get vehicles, because vehicles, they don't stick around. History tells us that they do not stick around. So that's just, that's my points on that. But yeah, the biggest thing is collect what you like, collect what you love, and don't buy into the hype, because there's going to be a lot of hype, even with Predator and all that stuff right now. Do you really like it, or are you just hyped because that one movie? Or do you really, is that what you really want? Don't buy into hype, because there'll be a new hype. That's why
There'll be a new hype. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, there'll be a new hype. So, and right now things aren't as easy to sell. Or you can sell it, but you're going to take a hit on it. You're going to lose money. So, don't get in this. This is already a very pricey game. It's already a very pricey game. And to take losses, a multiple of losses on it, I mean, you're leading yourself into bankruptcy. You can lead yourself into just being in that hole where you can't dig yourself out of. So this shit gets real, and I've been there. It gets real. You got to look at it like it is, because we're not talking about Black Series. We're not talking about $30 figures. We're talking about $300 figures, and it's only going up. And then, believe me, it's going to go up. It's going to be higher. Seriously. So yeah, buy what you love, and just be careful.
Well said, my friend. And what's going on with you then?
Oh man, shoot, man. Once again, thank you so much for being here tonight. This is a wonderful panel, and just, man, I love being with veteran collectors, and just, we got war stories. We trading war stories tonight. So it's great. It's definitely great. But yeah, with me, I think I'm gonna be on Aries on Monday. Got a full week coming. I'm gonna be on Aries on Monday. Tomorrow I'm gonna be with Will Foxification. It's been a while since I've been there. Then Tuesday is Good Morning Grails. I don't know what grail we're going to speak, because I got to be careful with that word now.
Well,
I just think now when I do the show, I'm going to be thinking about this panel, thinking about the Nobi. I was like, should I call it? Is it a grill? Is it not a grill? I think I'll add that. That may be a good little thing. Is it a chase, or is it a grill? That'd be a good way to educate.
So Good Morning Grails with a question mark?
Maybe, yeah.
There you go.
Change the damn logo.
See all yeah, but see how context changes right there just by that statement.
Yep.
Yeah, Good Morning Grails.
Grails?
Grails.
Yeah, right.
But that's it for me. And of course, best of the best. And if any, what is right here? I got cable right here. So, and I'll say a sneak peek. I love it. I do love it. I mean, mate, just because I like the figure anyway. But he's skinny as hell he's skinny as fuck with no clothes on. Definitely.
Yes.
that's still a thing. But when he's all suited up, when he's all suited up, he's dope. He looks
Future Grail?
Future Grail?
See, now he's just fucking with you.
Is
He is.
But is it rare?
Is.
Is it rare?
Is it rare?
No. Right. Is it
rare? But no. Let me stop. But
well,
no,
of course.
Man, thank you so much.
Yeah, of course, and that'll be cool to see, man. I'm interested in your opinion. So again, brother cousins, man, check them out if you guys already haven't. Mario, do you have final thoughts as well before what's going on with you moving forward?
Kids, just be careful out there, man. Just buy cautiously. I mean, I think everyone's dropped a lot of knowledge tonight, and just take that to heart, man. Just consider some of these buying decisions before you actually jump into something. Considering how you're collecting currently, ask yourself these questions that Jay just mentioned. Think about some of the things that we talked about. And if it doesn't faze you, it doesn't faze you. Just keep on doing what you're doing. Then it's all keep doing you. But at the end of the day, man, as long as you're happy, man, just keep doing it. Do whatever. Just I would just say just continue to be cautious if possible. And again, I stress the return window if it's possible. Do that instead of taking a hit in the secondary.
That's true.
So,
that is true.
I didn't know about that. Yeah.
So yeah,
Well,
man.
Well, like you said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But if it's broke, maybe you need to fix it. You know what I'm saying? So if it works for you, I totally get it.
Yeah,
but again,
absolutely.
Yeah, but go ahead. I'm sorry, I cut you off there.
No, it's pretty much it, man. But yeah, it's fun tonight. Great discussion as always, man. Saturday nights, man. It's I put a poll in the chat. I don't know if you guys see it, but if you guys enjoy these types of conversations, let me know in the poll, man. I know. Listen, I want to talk about toys too. We all do, but I think at certain times, discussions like these have to come up. I don't want to blindly, just mislead people. And those are my opinions. And I appreciate everybody's time. I respect everybody's time coming in, taking time out of your day to watch us and listen to us. But at the same time, I understand if these moments come up, you'll know by thumbnails, you'll know by alerts on social media. Hey, this is what we're talking about this week. That's why some people are here, some people are not. I totally understand that because we all have our own preferences. But at the same time, it's cool. Every episode may not be for everybody. So I respect everybody's opinion. You can always come in the next week. But if you enjoy it, you know what I mean? Let me know for sure. Mario, I'm sorry. What is going on with your channel then? I know you just did this unboxing of this Vader. Yeah, man. We just did that earlier before the stream. It was hella fun. I'm gonna try to take a break a little bit next week. Just kind of I've been streaming for like the past since Wednesday and every day since. So I'm gonna go ahead and take a little bit of a break, and but this Thursday I'll be Lael and I will be doing our Star Wars show Uncivilized Scoundrels on his channel. So that'll be interesting. See what we got to talk about. And then Fridays, as always, Latino World Order. You know how we go. LWO is in full effect right now. We're actually going. I think we're taking it to Marco's channel, 16 Fix, this Friday. And yeah, hopefully we'll hope to see you guys there. That show's so much fun. It's such a blast just hanging out and just chatting. I mean, we did one last night, and we came across some collector that was actually trying to scam a couple folks. Called them out, and yeah, go check that out. That was randomly on Instagram.
Oh,
because it turns out a couple people actually heard from this particular person, and we actually had some voice messages to play from him. So go check it out on P-Rock's channel. Last night's episode of LW.
It was on P-Rock? All right, I'll check it out. I'll check it out.
That was interesting.
All right. Yeah, that's crazy. And shout out to Marcos, Clicker Zone, man. What's going on, dude? What are you hooligans doing up so late? Anthony Mario, again, brother Denobi. We're doing good. We're doing good, man. We're just wrapping up, man. But appreciate you being here, man. Yeah, I want to hear that. I guess I'll check that out. I will definitely check that out. But other than that, just trucking on, yeah.
Absolutely, man.
Well, be sure to check out Mario if you have not already. Links will be in the description below. I don't think I actually set them up. I was a little off, but they will be in the description, and I've already put some in the chat earlier. Denobi, your final thoughts on tonight's discussion? Anything moving forward?
Look, it's if anybody out there is surviving this hurricane level of market, just keep in mind, just like any market, this is probably the lowest. It's going to go back up. So the question is just being able to be prepared when it goes back up, because I suspect when it goes back up, it's going to be its own storm. There's going to be a lot of collectors missing out, and my little slogan is I don't like to be punished by history. Things I had the opportunity to buy at cost or discount, I slept on. So buy low, sell high. I'm in it for the love of hot toys. I have other better things to sell, to fundraise outside of hot toys. So I've been doing pretty good. I'm actually very proud, and I'm very proud of on how I've been managing my hot toys collection the last year. I've been scoring phenomenal deals. I scored a good deal on the Endor speeder bike collector set. I picked it up for a total of $485. Free ship, no tax. That is a savings of $92 from Sideshow. Again, if you are able to tack on those savings, the 7th one will be free, right? It's kind of like free coffee or free drink. You know, you add up those savings. That's how you do it, right? That's
Punching the card.
Yeah, that's it. It's about curating your own personal collection and not so much being influenced from the outside and being FOMO hyped into paying more. There's no reason for anybody in the last year to be paying above retail on Hot Toys right now. If anything, you should be looking at retail or below.
Yeah.
But I suspect that will change next year. It's in my bones, Annie. I can feel it.
Hey, you know, it very well. That's something to look forward to.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, I really want to see what the climate is going to be like next year.
I can tell you if the 2 vehicles drop around springtime, that'll be the start. It'll be the 𝗕𝗘𝗠𝗠 and it'll be the DeLorean.
Yep.
Yeah, because I suspect those 2 vehicles are small batches. I really do.
Oh yeah,
I really do, because not a lot of collectors took that leap of faith in day one pre-ordering it. So I'm assuming that there is a small batch of the DeLoreans, a purchase order that was probably sent from Sideshow to Hot Toys. So I can tell you that when they drop in Hong Kong, make your decisions then. That's how I made my decision with the 𝗕𝗘𝗠𝗠. So when the 𝗕𝗘𝗠𝗠 dropped in Hong Kong, I pre-ordered it that same day from Sideshow. Yeah. So there's that. And then later in the year, you have the speeders. And I know a lot of folks have convinced themselves that they don't want it. I can promise you're going to want those speeders, those bark speeders. And then what do we got coming up that's going to kick our asses? All those fucking blurgs, Anthony.
Attack of the blurgs, baby.
Blurgs are it's gonna give me gas. I'm telling you, those things are gonna drop. It's gonna get me heartburn. I'm gonna get ulcers. I'm like, I need the quill.
Right. I know, man. That's gonna start really hitting us, man.
Yeah.
It is. It's gonna be interesting next year.
So, I'll do a midnight run if they drop. I'll do that just so I can think about them.
Well, I mean, I know last night, right? You did the evening run with the Iron Mans. Yeah,
that was a journey of self-discovery. That was there was a couple moments in my evening run where I kicked into monologue, and I wasn't even sure if I was there or not. I was just that tends to happen when I monologue. I just ramble. But I will say though, I'd spooked my own self though, because I do feel we're going to be getting hammer drones and 2.0 Hall of Armors inbound. It's in my bones, Annie. I can feel it.
I feel you're correct on that, man. Yeah. I mean, you guys, you know, the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine hammer drones from Iron Man 2.
Yeah.
Why not? How is that not milking money?
There are Asian Iron Man collectors out there that would gladly buy 6 of each of those. Easy. With a blank and not won't even have to blink. And, you know, here in the U.S., we're like, we don't need the Marine bullshit. Those things will fucking sell. Those things will sell.
Damn,
they will sell.
They will.
You know, Iron Man's huge in Asia. And people here might be like, damn.
Yeah.
And like you said, you could just have this blackout moment and be like, why do I have 6, hammer drones all of a sudden? What happened?
Yeah, what did I do? I'll get the invoice for 6 of them, and with I'm like, oh, I got Cosby'd. I woke up and I'm just like, you're a Marine hammer drum.
Right, you got all these drums. Wow. Oh man.
No, Bill, what am I doing here? No, what do I have? 12 of the Marine hammer drum. What's going on here?
Well, we would do that. We would get enamored with that, right? Easily. It'd be like, wow, that's kind of a cool display. It's like with Troopers in Star Wars.
Yeah.
So but other than that, anything else coming up, or just waiting if something happens, we'll do it midnight.
I'm all over the place. No. I'll do a midnight run if something cool drops.
Fair enough. Fair point. Again, Denobi, my man, thank you for coming. You guys follow him. If you don't, I'll put a link again in the description, as I did earlier. Desi, I'm sorry, last but not least, certainly, thank you again, man, for coming, brother. you have any final advice of moving forward?
Yeah, man. And first of all, thank you for being here again. It's an honor to be amongst these panelists here. It's awesome. All veterans, very cool. Had a great time. And as far as advice, man, again, what we've been saying tonight, like if you're concerned about the crash, don't worry. It's just a wave. It always comes in waves, and it will turn around. I agree with 𝗕𝗏𝗧. I think it's going to turn around about springtime next year, or once those vehicles start coming out. So don't worry. And if you're really concerned, you want to look at something else right now, only because of the financial aspect of it, carefully dabble in other things that are not hot toys. You might see a better return if that's why you're in it, or if that's one of the major reasons why you're in it. If not, don't worry about it. If you're doing good, you're doing good. No need to panic. So other than that, just, hey, keep collecting what you like, safely so. And on my channel, nothing for now. I'm working on a diorama. I'm recording it, but it's going to be a while because it's a big one. So nothing for the next few weeks, but recording the entire process. So that'll be fun once I get that video out.
Hell yeah. And yeah, I know. And those who don't know that you've been doing a lot of creating dioramas, and you have your series going on called Crafted, where you're showing people how to do certain things, modifying things, creating dioramas. If you guys haven't checked out 𝗕𝗓𝗖𝗓, come on, man. That shit's awesome. It's cool. It's another part of the community. It's another facet. It's not just, we're talking about figures. We're showing you how or you're showing people how to create cool stuff. And that's badass.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
No, it totally is, man. It totally is. And you're right. I think, it's going to end up, we're going to see some stuff different next year, and and like you said, if you're comfy the way you are, that's fine. And none of us are experts, right? I would say we are, self-acclaimed experts just because we've been collecting for so long, but it's not scripture. It's not scripture, man. And we all have different opinions, but it's just through our tenure of collecting, this is what we feel is best for us. And what might be right for you may not be right for some, right? But keep that in mind when moving forward. And that's really it. Just keep that in mind, guys. Best interests at heart always. So with that, what's going on with me? I don't know. I've got the as you guys know, I dropped the Terminator review of the battle damaged police shootout, Terminator 1. That one's cool. I really encourage you guys to check it out. I've been getting some great responses on that video already. A lot of good views, a lot of good comments. I'm doing a lot of retro reviews right now while I have the time. So I just did that. I'm working on the Samurai Predator video next. And I do have some other older figures, kind of in the works, working on stuff with that. So looking forward to that. Saturday nights streams, of course, as always. And some morning shows here and there, though I have been slacking. I've been slacking on the morning shows, but I feel like there hasn't been a lot to talk about in the morning, and I didn't really want to kind of, I don't know, for lack of a better term, beat a dead horse sometimes, I'm like, well, I don't want to talk about this. It's been talked to a bunch. Because it really depends on when things fall, right? And if I don't have anything really pertinent, and I've said we've already discussed something, I've been kind of, whatever. But that's really what's going on for me.
You mean no cable chat?
No cable chat. I didn't even bother. I don't need to. And it's not because everybody talked about it, because that's everybody's right. That's what we're going to do. That's what we do. But I just felt like I was a little disappointed. And I don't really want to come off like that. The world don't move to the beat of just one drum. That's Beskar Kid. He knows what I was talking about. Different strokes, man. So we're going to leave it on that shit. We're going to leave it on that note. Because that's a good one. So, yeah, guys. That's how it is. That's how it is, my friends. And tune in for some more reviews. Tune in, everybody. I don't know what we're going to talk about next week, but we are. And again, we are, close to 3,000 subscribers, man. So thank you, everybody here. Everybody here, thank you so much. Subscribe to everybody here on the panel if you enjoy their content, and any of your other favorite content creators, man. It helps. Hit the like, leave some comments on the after show. Replay really does help with the algorithm, get us out there. And, keep on keeping on, man. And come check out the Facebook group if Facebook's your thing, man. Again, those in the chat already know about it, who are part of the group. It's super chill. Come talk, share opinions, share photos, ask advice. Everybody in my group is super chill. I don't think I've really ever had any issues in my group. So if you guys want to come in, shoot the shit, that's where we are. Six Skill Mafia. And Yeah, that's it, man. So we out. Peace.